Hello, hello. We're back, and I have a special guest with me.
No offense, but it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
Yo,
Hello,
what's
Austin.
up? Dude, hey, at this point, I think I'm your co-host. I've been on every episode, haven't I?
Except for like maybe three of them, yeah.
All right, dude. Glad to be that super frequently featured special guest.
Well,
It's great.
everybody else
Hey,
seems to be busy whenever I ask them what if they want to come on.
oh yeah. I mean that it is what it is, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, wasn't this originally supposed to be like a weekly thing?
Supposed to be, but I've been busy with work and such, and it's been kind of crazy trying to get it every week.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well,
But
I mean, we've done it like we just streamed a couple days ago, didn't we?
yeah, we did.
Yeah.
But I felt that I felt like I wanted to stream, so here
Yeah.
we
See,
are.
yeah, no, I love that because it's a great opportunity, basically, for you and I to chat on the phone. Like that's basically what I look at this as. Is it's me and Jacob chatting on the phone, and it's just going on the record.
Yeah, and we may be streaming tomorrow if you're able to.
Hopefully, I hope I
Cause,
am.
'cause that video that James sent me, oh boy, I got 2 minutes in. I'm like, oh, we need to cover this, but since he's not here and he doesn't get to hear my rants about it,
Yeah,
um,
I actually have a video I wanted to show him as well that I was gonna save for this. Because like if he comes over, I could obviously just show it to him, but I think it'd be way funnier to get it recorded.
yes.
Yeah, it has to do with Lord of the Rings, which is like his favorite thing ever. And
Oh,
spoilers, it's about how it's racist. So I know that's going to get him pissed off. So I'm really
wait, is it
excited.
the orcs thing?
No, it's not even the orcs thing. I think they mentioned that, but no, it goes. I'm not. I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to spoil it. We'll watch it. It's really short. We might be able to do both videos tomorrow.
Maybe the
'Cause
other one, the one that he sent me is like 20 minutes.
yeah,
So we
and
should be able to do the first. We should do the legend.
Lord of the
I
Rings.
cannot speak. Yeah, we should do the Lord of the Rings one first,
Yeah,
since
it's
it's
only
only a
like
minute.
it's like 5 minutes long.
Yeah, we should do that one first. And I know you have work Saturday.
Hmm.
Does James work Saturday?
Yeah, I think so. Well, I don't know. I'm not super familiar with his schedule. Mine's pretty
Because
set. Mine's way more set. Like I usually have Sunday and Wednesday off. Every now and then that might change where I have to work Wednesday. Like I had to work this last Wednesday, but generally I have Wednesdays off. So then that means Tuesday evening or Wednesday anytime before the evening. I can basically stream whatever because I don't have to go to bed. You know.
yeah, and the reason I was asking is because I don't work the weekends.
Oh, that's lucky. Yeah, and I work Saturdays. So
Yeah,
basically, Saturday nights seem like it might be the best for
everybody.
being able to do long stuff. You know, because since that that Halo video took freaking 4 hours, so Saturday nights might be best if we're doing something like that.
Yeah, Saturday
Or
nights.
you know, if we can do it earlier like this. But you know what? I think we've gone long enough. We should get into this.
Yeah,
I've rambled enough about stuff that's not going to be interesting to anybody listening.
yeah. So the reason that we're here is this video. It's from
JoJo.
it's from Cosmonaut.
Oh my god.
I have passing knowledge about Cosmonaut, and
He's an interesting fella. He has interesting opinions.
yeah, let's.
He did like I think it was like a 2 minute long video about the rise of Skywalker. And like the fact that it was only 2 minutes is what's a shocker to me because if you go to my channel, James, my buddy Alex, and we all talk about the rise of Skywalker, and it goes on for like 3 hours of like we have plenty. All of us have plenty to say. But then Cosmonaut comes out and he's like, "I got 2 minutes. Bye." It's like, how? How can you only have 2 minutes of things to say about this? I don't even remember what he said because of how short it was. That it didn't stick. I don't know if he liked it or not.
Yeah, I've seen some Cosmonaut videos. Definitely has his opinions about certain topics. But let's go ahead and get into this. I know like the first 50 seconds are going to be explaining his repertoire of anime.
Oh, okay, yeah. I like some anime.
I also like some anime.
Yeah, a couple of them are pretty good.
All right, let's go ahead.
Oh, there's more bad ones than good.
Now, if you've been following me for a while, you know that I love anime, and more specifically, I love shonen anime. If there's a popular shonen series out there, I probably have an opinion on it, but there's one series that I have a very complicated relationship with. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I do not particularly like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and this is something that surprises people. Because
I mean, everybody's entitled to their own opinions. Not everybody's going to like JoJo's.
Yeah, exactly.
You just
Whoa, what is this though? What are we looking at here?
the memes of JoJo's, how people constantly talk about Dwayne, them calling
Hashtag
Foo
part 5
Fighters-
never. Oh, so this is before part 5 came out.
Yeah,
Okay, okay, this is the JoJo's fan base. Gotcha.
yes.
because we all know how JoJo's fans are. I'll be on a stream or something, and someone will say, "Hey, Marky, you like anime? You should watch JoJo's." And I'm like, "I don't like JoJo's." And they're like, "What the fuck? Why don't you like JoJo's?" No, I don't like
That's exactly how I feel.
I don't know. People just hate that I don't like JoJo's. So I'll tell you why, okay? And this isn't.
Yeah, why don't you like JoJo's? No, I'm just kidding. I really don't care that you don't.
Essay or anything. I'm not trying to convince anyone not to like.
Just more good
JoJo's.
storytelling
This is
for
just
us.
My super specific,
Yeah.
super personal reasoning as to why I don't like it. So just
Yeah, we'll keep
consider
JoJo's
this
to ourselves.
Cosmonaut rant. The name needs work. All right. Back in the before times when I was in college, I had a lot of free time. I hadn't really started my YouTube channel for real, so most of my time was spent watching anime or reading manga.
What does
I
that
remember
mean?
I heard that JoJo's Bizarre.
What do you mean?
Starting your YouTube channel for real, what does that mean?
Uploading on a consistent basis. That's pretty much all it means.
Okay. All right.
You are more consistent in your uploads than I am, and I'm currently working on a few things to have a consistent upload time.
Oh, well, you know what the secret to that is? Is I pre-record all my stuff.
Well, yeah, I'm also pre-recording. I'm working on like scripts and everything for videos that I'm going to do. I just need somebody that knows how to edit videos properly.
Like
For
my
the things
newest
that I wanna
video
do.
just came out 3 hours ago.
Oh
So,
yeah, I haven't seen that one yet.
Yeah, I don't remember it. Oh, we talked about Full Metal. Wait, I do remember. We talked about Full Metal Alchemist. That's the newest one. And see, it's nice because like James and I are able to sit down. And like the only reason that we're consistent is because when we sit down, we only get to see each other once every couple months. And then we sit down for like 3 hours. And then I upload all that crap and cut up bits. And then space it out by a week. That way that we get to see each other before the last time we hung out finishes airing. Because we really don't see each other as often as we should. But I mean, he lives a state away.
Yeah.
But if that's all that being, what was it they said? Like actually committed to his YouTube channel. If that's literally it, is just uploading regularly, I'd have to disagree with you on that because I don't really think that is because I don't feel like I'm very committed to my channel. I put out a schedule to be consistent, but I definitely haven't turned it into something like where I'm trying to get it to grow. I mean, James and I both deleted all of our social media, so we have no way of promoting our channel. Like, we don't get to promote any videos ever. We have had no growth for over a year.
Yeah, but I mean that growing is probably the hardest part, even without social media or even with social media, because I don't promote myself. I just upload, and if people find my videos, they find my videos.
Oh, we should start covering controversial, hot subject items. I bet that would work.
like to do that. I would like to do that, and we just have to obey Twitch and YouTube terms of service until I can, stream somewhere else.
I don't know how to obey those terms of service. I literally just upload whatever, and I assume I'm so small YouTube won't notice.
Yeah.
Copyright material, they won't notice.
No, they'll notice. Trust me, they will.
Nah,
I've had several copyright claims on my account.
For real already?
Yeah, because
that's crazy.
They have a robot that goes through it.
Oh well, then I guess I haven't done anything.
Well, you also don't use music because even though I'm allowed to use the Tom McDonald stuff freely, the company that he goes through to put out his music copyrights claims for him. So either I remove them from the video or just don't get it monetized, which I'm not too worried about monetization at this point.
Yeah, I feel you. I mean, I did an entire commentary over Star Wars Episode 3 with it playing in the background, and that didn't seem to be an issue. And then also we've had Bob Ross playing in the background for some of our stuff as well.
Yeah.
Maybe I've just missed the emails. Maybe I'm actually in a lot of trouble with YouTube and they're mad at me, and I just don't even notice.
No, if you go to your YouTube studio, you can check
What's
that stuff. Oh.
Dude, I literally just push the button that says upload, and then I upload the footage from my phone, and then I set it a date to release, and then I walk away. And that's it.
Understandable.
That's me and my interaction with YouTube. Anyways, let's watch the rest of this crap. So I guess both of us are already at the point that Cosmonaut's talking about in his life.
Yeah.
That's basically where it's like, hey, we're taking YouTube seriously because we're regularly uploading. So okay. So way back before he was like us, he had opinions. That's good. Me too.
Was finally getting an anime adaptation, and I'd played the old Capcom fighting game, and I knew some old ancient memes about the series, but I'm jealous. That new anime looked neat, so when the first episode of JoJo's aired, I watched it, and I liked it. So much, in fact, that I decided to just go ahead and read the rest of the manga. So here's the first distinction I should make.
Okay.
All my feelings about JoJo's are mostly in regards to the manga. Whenever I start a new series and I'm given the choice to pick between the anime or the manga, I usually pick the manga, but that's just me. While there are...
I mean, yeah, I'd prefer the manga over the anime entirely because there are some manga that don't get adapted very well, Berserk being one of them. Also, did you hear about the news regarding Berserk?
No, I haven't. I haven't really ever watched or read Berserk. I know that it's really beloved, though.
Yes, Berserk I got into around 2009 whenever I was still in high school. And it became one of my all-time favorite manga, though it doesn't have a consistent update period. But Miura, the mangaka of Berserk, passed away on the 6th, and we finally got the news on yesterday.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks, man.
It does suck, and I hope that his family's doing well. But
same here.
Even if Berserk doesn't finish, because supposedly there's he outlined the rest of the story up to the end and had some people that he regarded with a lot of trust, and he said that if anything happens to him, here's everything that you need. But the man was detailed in his artwork, even going pixel by pixel sometimes. So you can see why the updates on Berserk were very infrequent.
It's definitely going to be interesting to see where it goes from there. I know Hunter is kind of in the same situation. Like the author hasn't died yet, but he's already been in the process for I guess like a year or so now of outlining what his idea is for the finale, just in case if he passes away before he finishes, his wife can finish it for him.
Yeah, and since she's already a mangaka herself, she would have the ability to do it.
Yeah, which I think is really cool. I hope he gets to finish his story.
I really hope he does, because I'd love to see mangaka and other writers and storytellers finish the works that they create.
Yeah, especially fully realized, because when you take on a grand scale, as a lot of these shonen writers do, when it comes to people like I can't believe I just forgot his name. The guy that made Dragon Ball.
Akira Toriyama.
Yeah, Akira Toriyama. Okay, when it comes to stuff like him, I'm like, dude, you should have set the pencil down a long time ago. Why'd you pick it back up? The story was done as far as I was concerned, and as far as I thought a lot of people were concerned. Obviously, as a huge fan, you always want some more. But if there's anything I've learned, is that sometimes it's okay to just stop and be like, I love the thing as it is. And I'm glad they didn't run it into the ground.
Well, you do know why that he continued, right?
I figured it was for money.
It was because his editor and Toei wanted to constantly put out more Dragon Ball stuff.
Yeah, so money.
That's why Goku died so many times throughout the series, because that's where he wanted to end the series. Like, he wanted to end the Frieza saga, and then
actually, I have to tell you that you're wrong. I thought the same thing, but I recently learned that no, the Buu saga was his intended endpoint. He did want Gohan to take over, but it wasn't anybody else except himself that made Goku come back. Like, there was no pushback from anybody. There was no pushback from fans or from the production company or anything. He tried writing Gohan, where it kind of turned into a slice of life. He did a couple chapters, realized he sucked at it, and he was like, I just got to go back to Goku because I can at least write Goku.
Okay. That honestly makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. There's this really cool channel that I want to promote now that I mentioned that. I will look up the name of it while we're watching this video so that I can tell people to look it up, because I forgot what it was called. But it's a really awesome channel. He goes back and he compares the original Japanese version of like Super Sentai, Super Sentai versus Power Rangers. He compares the episodes and how they were adapted to each other. And tells like the history of those stuff, and then he did the same thing with Dragon Ball, where he goes full in depth of the manga versus the anime adaptation. Well, first he has one series that's purely going over the manga and reviewing it and historical context of like what was going on at the time, and then he also goes back over the animes and the movies. And then, like I said, he did that. He does it for he even did it for the old Batmans. The 90s anime or cartoon, I guess I should say, the 90s Saturday morning cartoon. He goes back over all that. Yeah, dude, which is so good. And so it's really cool. I think it's Mr. Freeze. I'll look it up while we're watching this video, because I definitely want to promote his channel. He's really good. I like his work a lot.
All right.
He's taught me a lot about Dragon Ball. He's even done panels at Dragon Ball conventions and stuff, basically disproving myths. Because like the thing you were just saying about like how Goku got killed off and that he wanted to end at the Frieza arc. These are things that a lot of us have thought was the case, but he's gone back through and like reread all sorts of like the original Shonen Jumps, where they would have editors' notes and then authors' notes and stuff like that in them.
Yeah, and like the question. Or like the
the Q&As, yeah. And so he's compiled basically a list of the history of all that stuff to bring it forth now, because I mean that was 30 years. It's been like 30 years or something like that, 40 years. So like we've basically been playing a huge game of telephone, especially in America, since we got the really weird version And the fact that we even have a manga called Dragon Ball Z, which is totally inaccurate because there's no such thing as a Dragon Ball Z manga. There's only the Dragon Ball manga, and that's it.
Yeah.
So like we've gotten a really skewed history of the series, and so he goes back and just touches on that. I'll figure out what his name is, but we should watch this video. That was a really long diatribe about nothing.
Are exceptions. I do find the manga to be the purest form of that author's creative vision, so I usually like it more. And now I'm among the 3 people in the world that are actually perfectly fine with part 1 of JoJo's. It's kind of cute and quaint, and even though it's ripping off like a million different series, it still kind of has its own unique personality. Overall, I found part 1 to be an acceptable introduction. It's also not very long, so it doesn't overstay its welcome. I figured the series has a lot of room to grow, and it drew me in and got me excited to read actual good JoJo's next. So when I got to part 2, I got exactly what I wanted. It was such a dramatic improvement over part 1, and I love that the new protagonist Joseph was the complete opposite of our last hero Jonathan. And it was just a lot of fun watching a silly man go on a bizarre adventure. This was everything that I imagined back when I heard about JoJo's in my niche internet anime circles. However, some things still didn't totally vibe with me 100%. For one, I don't really care for the way Araki writes characters. While I love Joseph, I can't say I feel anything for anybody else. When characters die, I feel nothing. Their backstories are bland, if they even have backstories, and their personalities are just not very engaging most of the time. The pillar
No. He characterizes the characters that need characterization, such as Caesar, Lisa, Joseph himself, because he's the protagonist. Smokey for a little bit, and then even Speedwagon gets more character growth in part 2. But the way that he writes characters is he has all their traits spelled out on little sheets that he prints out and makes for every character that he does, and gives the backstories all together. And he even writes backstories even if it doesn't pertain to the story itself as it goes on. He's very detailed in how he does things, and I can understand that you don't feel things for characters, but part 2 is supposed to be the sense that anybody can be taken at any moment. That's why Caesar dies so suddenly. He doesn't have a final farewell to Joseph.
To Steelman, I totally agree with you, by the way, but to Steelman, Cosmo's argument, what I think he's trying to say is Iraqi writes characters that don't actually have growth. It's not that they don't have depth, but he writes them in a way that the whole character is presented to you, and that is the character. Where in other shows like Hunter, to bring that back up, the characters seem to develop over time, where they start at point A and then through natural progression wind up changing. Where when it comes to JoJo's, the character you're introduced to is the character they are throughout the whole thing, with a few exceptions, I will say. I'll go ahead and add, but that before I do that, that's me Steelman. I think he's trying to say that it's not that his characters don't have depth; it's that it's a different style of writing. There's a few movies and TV shows and stuff and books that pull it off really well, of being like, here's this person, and by the time we get to the end, they don't change. They're the same person, but they're good character. And I think that's what Iraqi does, and I like how he does it.
Yeah, and what you're talking about is a static character arc.
Static, yes, that's the word I was looking. Yes, they're static characters. And so I think that's what he's trying to argue, is that they're static, and he doesn't like static.
That can be said for a few of the JoJo's. As Araki progresses his writing technique, they do actually have character arcs throughout the story.
I definitely agree.
Over time.
I think the best example of that, if people, because I haven't read all the manga, so if you've only watched the anime, I think the best example of a non-static character is Polnareff.
Yeah, Polnareff definitely is the one that has character growth in the series.
From the time you meet him who he starts out as until the end of that. I won't even get into part 5, but by the time you get to the end of part 3, Polnareff, when you meet him to the end of that arc, is a completely different person. And not in an unnatural way, in a totally natural way, where you see him go through these moments that make him realize he has to approach things different and think different, and he becomes a different person. Someone that respects and cares for others way more than he did at the beginning.
Exactly, and Polnareff is probably everybody's favorite character of part 3.
Yeah, except for weirdos like me who still stand firm that JoJo is the best part of part 3.
Which one? There's 2 JoJo's in part 3.
Yeah, well, the part's JoJo, Jotaro.
Yeah.
Like Joseph's great. Don't get me wrong, Joseph's great, but Jotaro is one of my favorite. Oh, excuse me. He's one of my favorite protagonists because he doesn't fall in to the trope most protagonists fall into. Which, so to explain it quickly, you always need a fish out of water for the audience. And generally you make your protagonist the fish out of water so that they can learn things at the same time as the audience. They didn't do that. Instead, they made someone like Polnareff or, what was his name, Kakyoin?
Kakyoin?
Is that right?
Yes.
The green emerald splash or whatever it's called?
Yeah, Kakyoin.
Yeah, so they make someone like him and Polnareff the fish out of water instead, so that from the audience perspective, they can be told things that help us learn about the situation instead of the main character. And I think by doing that, that makes me like the main character better, because if you watch a show like Attack on Titan, the second time you watch Attack on Titan, like, because I liked Jaeger the first time through, and then I watched it again, and I was like, Jaeger, you are a snobby, whiny little brat that doesn't listen to your commanding officers who clearly know more about what's going on than you. And in the heat of a battle, they don't have 5 minutes to spell everything out for you. They say, do this, you do it. And so I just get really annoyed with him. But the first time through, I'm like, I get it. He's a fish out of water. I feel like he does because I'm also a fish out of water in this world. But then on subsequent views, they're annoying. But Jotaro isn't, because no matter how many times you watch through it, Jotaro doesn't open his freaking mouth unless he has something important to say. Yeah, it makes him really enjoyable.
And Jotaro also has a static character arc, though.
Yes,
he does have some depth.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's what a lot of people like about Jotaro himself, is he has depth to his character, even if he doesn't have an arc.
Right. See, that's the thing is, that's why I wanted to steal man and say I think Cosmonaut's trying to say that he doesn't like static characters. Not that Araki can't write characters. I think he misworded himself, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he really does think Araki's writing is terrible when it comes to characters. But if that's the case, if he really does think he's bad at writing characters, I have to disagree with him. But if he's saying he doesn't like static characters, then it's like, oh yeah, okay. Well, I do. I'm okay with static characters. Both can be done well, and I think Araki does a good job with static characters.
Yeah, and like a good JoJo that I can say has a actual character arc within the series is probably Johnny Joestar in part 7. He is not the same person.
Whoa, no spoils, no spoils. I haven't. No,
I'm just
not
saying.
Even at part 6.
I'm just gonna say he's not the same person he is in the start of the series. By the end.
Okay. So what I'm hearing you say is, as Araki goes on, he gets better and better. Because I'm going to I'll use part 5 real quick. Part 5, all of a sudden, Araki started writing character growth for every character. And I wasn't a big fan of part 5 the first time I watched it. I thought it was one of the weaker parts. But I'm currently rewatching it, and I'm really appreciating the fact that we're getting a really solid look at every single character, and we're getting their history, how they became gangsters. We're seeing what their personality's like, and then we go through their struggles and see who they wind up as at the end. They're not static. Like, the only static person in that is Giorno. Yeah, and maybe Bucciardi. Bucciardi and Giorno are probably the only 2 static characters. Everybody else, all the rest of the supporting cast is actually like active.
Yeah, because Giorno has a goal that he has in mind and will attain it at any cost, and Bucciarati is there to assist him till the end.
Yeah, well, they basically have the same goal, which I thought was actually kind of beautiful. The first time I was like, that's a little dumb that there's basically two main characters here that want the same thing. But on a second time watching through, I'm like, I like this mirror, because there's this mirror dichotomy between the two of them where they both want the same goal, but one is actually a ruthless gangster and the other is a street thug that is like, I'm going to become a gangster. Like, and I maybe it's not a really good analogy. Once I finish it again, I'll have a better thing to say about it, or a more thought out point about it, because I could be wrong with what I'm saying.
Yeah, and let's keep going here.
Yeah, I still haven't found that YouTube channel, by the way. But yeah, so let's keep going.
Men were threatening, but they weren't nearly as fun to watch as Dio from the previous adventure. But hey, I kept going because I knew Dio was going to come back, and after all, I'd seen so many people claim that part 3 is where JoJo's really starts. So I figured it was all uphill from here. But I was wrong, because part 3 kind of stinky. I think it has most things that I hate.
Wait, pause
shonen
after the sentence. Okay, most things that I... Yeah, the sentence.
All right.
Okay. So he's saying, everyone said, oh, stick around for part 3. Part 3 is where it starts. And then didn't he just say that it's like, no, it's awful. Part 3 is awful. It's not where it starts. Is that basically what he said? Did I mishear him? I was looking through my subscriptions to try and find that YouTube channel, so I might have missed what he said.
So he's saying that people were telling him that's where JoJo's really starts is part 3, which... No, it definitely has a lot of steam going in part 1, but he's saying that it is a badly written story. So let's see.
From the beginning. Well, hold on. I have to say that when it comes to JoJo's, I've told multiple people who don't seem interested in it. I tell them, "Well, just start at part 3. Just skip to part 3." Because part 3 is what got me interested in it. Because I watched the first few episodes of part 1 and was like, this is boring. So I stopped watching it. And then I was over at your brother's house, and they were watching back through it, and they just got to part 3. And I watched the first couple episodes of part 3 with them, and I was like, now this is an anime I can watch. Because it changes. It changes entirely. But rewatching part 1 and 2 a second time, because I've watched them twice now. Part 1 and 2 are amazing. They're just amazing for different reasons. But by saying, "Hey, hold out till part 3," because that's what it really starts. That's the same thing that you could say with Hunter, which is another excellent show. Because if someone started Hunter and they're like, I don't know, it seems pretty normal. Be like, well, wait until Heaven's Arena, because Heaven's Arena introduces the magic system. And it's like, that's when the whole show really kicks off and goes this whole different direction. But I do like part 1 and part 2 of Hunters as well. I think they're excellent, and I like their simplicity and the world building they establish. But it really does start at Heaven's Arena. And it's the same thing with JoJo's. You get to part 3, and that's when it really does start. Because it doesn't go back. You get what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't go backwards. It's not that all of a sudden they introduce this whole new thing and then eventually just throw it away. It's like, no, this is the thing now. This is what the show really is. Like, it's like if you're like, hey, I'm watching Dragon Ball, but I think it's really dumb. And it's like, well, I really like Z, so you got to get to at least the part where they start throwing Kamehamehas, which, I mean, it was only a few episodes in. But still, it's like if you just watch the first couple episodes and you're like, this is really lame. It's like, wait, get to the tournament. Get to the first martial arts tournament before you judge it, because that's when the show really finds its, footing and decides what it is.
Yeah, and I usually so for manga, I usually give it about 10 chapters before I drop it.
Yeah, fair enough. I watched 3 episodes of the anime. I don't know what I'll do with manga.
Some anime I have to watch a full season to determine if I'm going to pick it up for another season or not. Mainly because, like, there's some anime that nothing really happens in the first season. It's just world building, and then after that, it picks up.
Yeah, see, I don't have the patience for that unless I know for a fact it's going to get good. I
Like-
can't do it.
Gurren Lagann is a
Yeah,
good
couldn't
example
do
of
it.
that.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. I saw the
Gurren-
first 2 or 3 episodes and I was like, this is too boring for me. But then I watched the last 3 episodes while I was hanging out with your brother, and I was like, now that's a show I could watch. Maybe I should go back and watch this because
Yeah.
it gets crazy good at the end.
There's a huge story shift after I think it is episode 9 or 10.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely have to go back and watch that sometime. Because yeah, like I said, like I saw the finale, which I'm not the kind of person. I think it's because I've just been abused. I'm not the kind of person that spoilers cause me to not watch something.
Yeah.
Because I've been abused by so many people who will be like, bro, you gotta da 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 da. I'm like, wait, I haven't seen it yet, and I'm interested in it, and then they'd spoil it, and so now I'm at the point where I'm like, you know what? Even if I know how it ends, I want to see how we get there. Because if it's told well, it doesn't matter if I know. You know,
Yeah.
like Hunter's been spoiled for me, and I'm sitting here watching through it, and I know something that's going to happen that's coming up, and I'm now the more that I've watched it, the more I'm anticipating that moment. Even though it got spoiled for me, I'm like, oh, I really want to see that happen now in full context.
Yeah, and like Yu Yu Hakusho for me is one that I can constantly go back to and rewatch, even though I know exactly what's going to happen and how the story's going to play out.
I'm really glad you can do that. I couldn't get through it. I really just couldn't get through it. Apparently I got to the part where everyone says that's when it gets good. Is they're like they go to like some demon castle thing, and
Yeah, whenever they're in the underworld.
yeah, and then the side character dude with the that has the JoJo Part 4 haircut, the pompadour. He has a pompadour, and he learns that he can channel energy into a wooden stick to make a fire sword. And then they're fighting like some demon dude, and I got like halfway through that fight, and I was like, I can't watch this anymore. It's boring. Yeah, I'm really picky when it comes to entertainment. It's because I enjoy. I've learned that my problem with movies, TV show, anime, books, manga is I much prefer things that I have to do versus just sitting down and watching a thing. So it's got to be really, really engaging for me to sit down and watch it.
That's understandable.
Yeah, because I'd rather play a board game or a video game.
Where you're
You know.
actually in control of everything.
Yeah, not even in control of everything, but that I'm an active participant of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah. Also, I like board games because of getting to sit around a table with a bunch of friends and then getting mad at each other as you roll dice.
I still need to get people to help me finish Time Stories.
Yes, you do. That is an excellent game with a great story.
Yeah, I finished the. Which one was it? I finished the Asylum,
Yeah.
and then I finished the second one.
Second one's
Marty.
not Marcy Case, is it?
Yeah, it's Marcy's Case.
Is that the second or is that the third? Do you have
Marcy,
I can't remember if that was second or third now.
Marcy is the second one.
Okay. Yeah, that was one.
Yeah.
I've replayed that one too many times that I could never do it again.
Yeah, funny thing is we figured out who the real Marcy was in one go.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
really good. I don't know how you did that, but
I don't know
assuming-
either.
I'm assuming it didn't work out, or did it? Were you able to actually get out with the real Marcy?
We were able to get out with the real Marcy.
Wow, dude, I am impressed.
But we missed a couple things, so we had to go back.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Because we didn't find the Marcy on the first time, but we found her, I think, on the second time, and then it was about the 5th or 6th time through that we got it. Like, okay, so you know the scoring system, how it works, where it's like every time you redo it, you substitute or you lose bonus points. You don't get bonus points for your completion attempts.
Yeah.
So we had done it so many times, it was like you get 0 bonus points. Then we did it in so quick, like we did it in the most optimal amount of turns with so many turns left that we actually still wound up getting like 60 points or something stupid. Like way above what we would have gotten if we had just beat it the first time. I was like, wow, we just like mastered this crap. And now Dylan and I have both been like, yeah, we're never playing that again. Never again.
Oh man.
Anyways, let's get back to this video.
Yeah.
It's bloated and super long for no reason. And again, the characters are just not doing it for me. Except this time, the main character doesn't have the fun charisma that the last JoJo had. Yeah, Jotaro is like a cool guy, but he kind of falls flat in this story. There really just aren't enough traits or characteristics to get me invested in him as the main character. If I look past the fact that he's just like really cool and edgy, then he's got nothing. And it's not like the other characters are very good either. The problem is, I think you can categorize most JoJo's characters in one of 3 slots. The funny, cowardly character.
What?
Oh,
That was only
really
the beginning of part 3.
Okay, look, here's the thing. I've watched a lot of these kind of video essay type videos, and I've noticed a lot of times that when they go through and edit and they add footage, it even happened with the Halo video we covered. They don't actually show footage that's relevant to what they're saying. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt that when he put up funny coward and showed Polnareff, it was more of an oversight than an intentional, like, yeah, Polnareff's a funny coward.
Polnareff is only a coward in like 3 of the areas.
Polnareff is a coward in 3 of the... Is he?
Remember whenever they are talking with, what was her name? Inma, I think it was?
Oh, yeah, the ghost chick. The smoke ghost puppeteer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was being a coward there because of the pig and everything. Which is, I mean,
Okay.
he's in a new area that he doesn't understand. He's going to have some reservations about it. But as the story progresses, he isn't a coward anymore.
Definitely not. Okay, so yeah, maybe he, maybe that's just a good site. What's the right word here? Maybe that's a good point that contradicts what Cosmonaut said earlier about the characters not having development. Is that he sat there and said Polnareff is just a funny coward. And in reality, he grows beyond that.
Yes.
Fair enough. Calm and cool. Aside from Jotaro, is there another calm and cool person? Josuke, maybe?
Josuke, unless you talk about his hair.
Giorno is kind of calm and cool. I'll give you that. But yeah, Josuke, I don't even take Josuke as calm and cool. Josuke is pretty freaking anime. He's way more like Joseph. He's way closer to Joseph in personality than anybody else. And then Giorno is way closer to Jonathan and Dio. I think they really reflected the fact that he's Dio's son, so it's Jonathan's body and Dio's soul, essentially. I think they really did a good job with Giorno, making him feel like both of those characters.
Yeah, and who would fall into the funny coward? Because Koichi wouldn't. Because Koichi actually had to go through some terrible, terrible situations in part 4.
I think he would be like the same thing you were saying with Polnareff, where it's like when he started out and the first time he ever gained his ability and those encounters that he went through where all of a sudden he's in a whole new world of stands because he's the first stand user we've met that got their stand actively in the story instead of just having it before we met him. He was definitely afraid. He is definitely cowardish when we first met him. But by the end of it, he becomes one of the, I won't say strongest fighters, but the bravest. He becomes one of the bravest, like willing to run headfirst into a fight.
Yeah, and I mean, he also had the situation with I can't remember her name right now.
The hair
The one
chick.
with
Mhm.
where he
He was
was wanting to,
kidnapped and locked in a house. Yeah, oh, that's
yeah,
traumatizing.
and then he
That would
fell
be
in love with her after.
traumatizing. Yeah, dude, that blows my mind. I still don't understand how that was the case. But yeah, after that, he actually did fall in love with her. I'm like, that's insane.
Stockholm
That's
syndrome.
yeah. I guess it really did take effect, didn't it? He really did get Stockholm syndrome.
Also, in part
But yeah, that
5, I
was
can't think of a
yeah,
funny coward.
yeah. Fun. Okay, funny coward, part 5. Um, yeah.
All
So
of them.
far, no. So far, no. Everybody has been willing. Okay, I guess the best argument to say funny coward would be Fugo, but Fugo's not funny. But whenever not Fugo, sorry,
Naranja?
no, Abacchio,
Abakio?
Abacchio, Abacchio. When Fugo gets captured in the mirror, does immediately say, "Abandon him so we can finish the mission." That's the closest thing I could get to coward, and that's not even coward. That's just like,
We have
no,
a
we're
mission to do. Let's go ahead
yeah.
and finish it. He's gone.
Right. Yes, exactly. It's not even that's the closest thing I can think of. I'm only 13 episodes into rewatching it or whatever, but that's the closest thing I can think of that's happened that any character showed any sort of like, let's not get into this fight, and it's not for a cowardice reason. Giorno gets really mad about it, and he's like, "No, I'm going to fight the guy." But Abacchio or whatever is looking at it in a very what's the right word? Calm and collected, calm and cool. Would that be would that be a way to say it? Where it's like this this is more
He's
important.
he's
This
thinking.
strategy.
He's looking at it in a more utilitarian type of
Yes.
view.
Yes, utilitarian, right? That the mission must be accomplished. We're all uh, we're all cogs in a machine, and if that cog breaks, we have to circumvent it and finish without it.
Yes.
Yeah, very utilitarian, exactly. Which maybe that means in part 5 there, he Cosmonaut could easily argue, yeah, in part 5 there is no
Funny coward.
coward. Yeah, there's no funny cowards. Nobody's funny, but there's plenty of funny in part 5. Plenty of funny.
Naranja one of them. Doesn't know
Yeah,
how to do math.
there's there's plenty there's plenty of funny stuff that happens in part 5. Even 13 episodes in, there's been plenty of humor.
All right, let's see what else he's got.
Yeah, what's the third
calm,
type?
cool guy, and the crazy murderer. But sometimes the crazy.
Oh, that's okay. That's pretty vague.
Yeah, that is super vague. You need to explain.
Yeah, also he said crazy murderer, but then the point he put on screen, because before it was literally like funny coward, and on screen, funny coward, calm and cool. He put that on screen. This one he said crazy murderer, but then on screen he puts likes to murder. So is he just saying like villain?
Yeah.
There's funny, there's calm, and there's the villain.
There's a lot to. That's super vague.
Also, this defends my point from earlier where I don't think he was trying to say that Polnareff is a funny coward, because he's showing Speedwagon with
the first
with
one
likes to murder. With likes to murder.
The first one that he showed was Seko that you haven't met yet.
Well, I have, but on this second watch through, I haven't. Yeah. And even he didn't like to murder. It was the guy he was with that liked to murder. He wanted what do you call affection? Not even affection. He wanted to be praised, and yeah. He wanted the guy that likes to murder to give him treats and show him affection because he was in love with him. He didn't like to murder. He wasn't like a crazed lunatic like that. Granted, he did murder, but it wasn't that he murdered because he enjoyed it. He murdered because he wanted the affection of a guy who was a crazy murderer. So that's not even correct character assessment.
All right, let's.
The murderer might turn into a funny, cowardly character, and that's.
Well, see, look, he showed Speedwagon.
Yeah, saying that he
to murder, and then turned into funny coward. Speedwagon Okay, is it because Speedwagon was a gang member that threw his bladed hat at Joseph? Or no, Jonathan.
I don't. He didn't like to murder.
Wasn't it a turf war kind of thing where he's like, "Hey, you're in our territory and we're gonna rob you"?
Yeah,
it wasn't we're gonna murder you. It was we're gonna rob you.
Yeah, and I don't think Speedwagon has murdered anybody in the past. Though I may be wrong.
Maybe, I don't know. I don't think so. But it definitely. The thing is, the way it came across was that he and his little gang of hooligans were like, "Hey, we're gonna rob Jonathan." Joseph. God, yeah, Jonathan. I was right. Yeah, Jonathan. Yeah. Then Jonathan beats them all up, lets him live, and he immediately is like, "Holy crap! I don't have to be a street hooligan." You know, like that's it. That's his character arc. But well, he doesn't turn it. I wouldn't call him a funny coward. Yeah.
He sees the virtues that Jonathan has, and he's like, "Oh, you're a man that I can respect. I'm going to follow you now."
Right, yeah, and he changes his ways. Granted, it's a very rapid change.
Well, the thing is, Speedwagon has always had a chivalrous nature. But because of where he grew up as a thug.
Yeah, he's a street urchin.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a street urchin, just like Dio was. The difference is that a Joestar showed him kindness, and instead of being like, "I'm going to take advantage of that and rob you of your fortune," he was like, "I want to be more like you."
Yeah.
That's really the difference. Because they were both street urchins with bad pasts. But I guess funny coward would be an okay categorization of Speedwagon. But I don't think he was a coward because he was there for every single fight. He didn't run away from any of them. He followed them they fought a vampire lord that was one-shotting people with magical powers, and he didn't have magical powers, but he still stood there. he didn't run away.
Yeah, he was supposed to be like the audience insert character.
Yeah, he basically became the narrator.
All right, let's.
Well, but hold on. I just want to
you'll get to it.
I want to hammer home. I just want to hammer home that Speedwagon is not a coward, because a coward wouldn't have walked into a vampire god's castle. Right? A coward wouldn't have done that.
No.
So he's not a coward. He's a funny, brave guy that just happens to realize that there's nothing he can do to help because everybody has magical powers of Haman. They all breathe better than him, so he doesn't help. But he's there. He doesn't run away. He stays there. And I even think he might not necessarily provide medical attention, but I'm pretty sure when people get injured, he literally like goes over and collects the body to pull them away to safety.
He does.
Like, he's also useful.
And also, Speedwagon, as is shown later, created a foundation that assists the Joestar bloodline through every generation.
Long after he dies, Speedwagon still facilitates every single JoJo to be able to do what they do. Like, Speedwagon is the ultimate assist character, not a coward. Not a coward. Anyway, that's all.
JoJo's, because character arcs simply do not exist in this series. Now, I've gone on record saying that
they don't exist much, but they do
to make a story good. A lot of people cite Paddington as an example of this.
So he's okay with static characters.
Same character, no matter what happens in the story. But
so he's disproving his earlier argument already. He's contradicting himself already. He's saying static characters are great, but I hate them, and they're awful writing.
Yeah, I can see that.
Terrible. This is a terrible video.
I mean, it can be. We'll see how it goes. It might actually have some substance to it.
But you're getting what I'm saying, right? Of like, listen, I'm not misinterpreting, right? I've listened to his 5 minutes of argumentation, and it's literally falling in on itself, right? I'm not crazy, am I?
No, you're not crazy. It is. He's saying that static characters are a thing, and he just thinks that they're poor writing, even though he's enjoyed stories that have them.
Yeah, he's about to say Goku's a character he likes, I bet. He just said
Luffy are the
pattern.
most popular shonen characters ever, and they have
Yeah.
the same outlook and personality from beginning to end.
Mhm.
However, we do see
That's true and not true at the same time. Luffy, over the course, becomes more of a captain and more of a leader to the crew. Where in, I think it was Water 7, whenever he and Usopp fight, he's pretty much just allowing Usopp to badmouth him. They fight, and then he allows him to come back whenever he wants. Though Zoro tells him, "Hey, I know you're gonna allow him back, but whenever you allow him back, do not let him berate you again like that. Otherwise, never allow him back."
I'm not familiar with Luffy, so I'm just going to take your word that he does have character growth. Goku, on the other hand, I would say actually does have character growth, but it's almost character regression. Because like he starts to become a different person, and then all of a sudden, because the writer misinterprets the story he's telling, he makes Goku become he just likes to fight because he's a Saiyan. Where before it was basically every fight that wasn't a tournament was to save people, not just to fight for the sake of fighting.
Yeah, after the Saiyan arc, it kind of devolved into that.
Yeah. Because when we first meet him, totally he likes to fight because he likes to fight and it's fun for him. And then he goes in the tournaments and he fights because it's fun. But then all of a sudden, the first threat, the first Piccolo shows up, and it's no longer fighting to fight. It's I'm going to kill you because you killed my friends and you're threatening the world. Then the Saiyan arc shows up, and all of a sudden they're like, we're going to regress him to he fights because he likes fighting.
Yeah, it's not until after he's older that the character regression happens, and then Super does it even further.
Oh yeah, I don't even want to talk about Super. But to say that Goku is a static character is slightly inaccurate, not wholly inaccurate, slightly inaccurate.
Slightly, yeah.
Subtle changes in their character over time. They both
subtle,
adapt to the world changing around them, and they let their friends influence how they grow, even if they keep the same core traits throughout the story. But
I'll agree with him on that.
Every single character is flat. Even the ones that I think
that's not true.
Decent.
We just spent plenty of time talking about characters that do change and why they change and how they're not flat. And the thing is, maybe he's right though, in the sense that a static character could be called a flat character. But to me, a flat character sounds like you're saying it's a one-note character or a one-dimensional character. And I don't think there's any main characters that are one-dimensional. Some of the villains might be one-dimensional. Like the one-off villain of the weeks, they might be one-dimensional. But most of the main cast is not one-dimensional, even if they are static. They still have depth.
Like, I can think of a few that are very one-note, like Mariah Bast, who has the magnetic powers in Part 3. She's a very, very flat, one-dimensional character.
Absolutely. And there's plenty of them, especially when it comes to the villains. There's plenty of them. The only villains that really get development are the main villains. So not even the main villains, though, are one-note and flat. They actually have character development, and we understand how they got to where they're at.
Like Wamu, AC/DC, and
they might be flat.
No,
but they're not. They're not. I take that back. Yeah, Wamu's definitely not flat. Cars might be flat.
AC/DC and Cars may be flat. I'd have to go back and rewatch.
Hold on. What was the first guy? Shen, the first Pillarman. Do you remember his name? It's a band.
I know.
That's all I remember.
Yeah, they sing.
Anyways, it doesn't matter. The point is, the first Pillarman, very flat. We don't know anything at all about him. He literally just walks around and kills people. Doesn't even really talk. He might talk a little bit. I don't remember now. Satana. Yeah, that's it. Satana. But Wham or Wamu is totally multifaceted. He has definitely got depth. The main reason you know that is because, one, he's on the low end of the totem pole when it comes to the Pillarmen. The way that the others treat him, the way that he treats them back, where he's very respectful of them and they're disrespectful towards him, that tells you a lot. Then when it comes to his fight with JoJo, where he's honorable, and by the end of it, he's like, hey, you know what? You're challenging my pride, and I have the pride of a warrior, and I'm going to make a deal with you that I'm not going to betray. And he never does. And like the way he fight, like he has depth. It might be simple. So Cosmonaut might be saying that, like, yeah, even that much depth is still flat because he's static. And it's like, yeah, he's static. But you yourself just said static is okay. It's okay for someone to be static. It's okay for Patton and Bear to start and end at the person that he is. But when it comes to JoJo's, I guess static characters are bad.
So usually there are static characters in a story. Sometimes they can be the protagonist.
Generally.
Sometimes they can be protagonist, and by protagonist, I do mean that villains can be the protagonist of a story.
Yeah,
and so
for sure.
can a hero.
Yeah,
but it's the people around them that can have character arcs as well.
True, exactly. Which that's the thing is, I don't really think there's much we need to go into here, because we've already established how there's plenty of character arcs.
And character
throughout
growth.
JoJo's, yeah, and character growth throughout JoJo's. But there are more static characters than there are characters that grow. But like, there's no problem with that. And Cosmonaut himself said there's no problem with that. But now he's saying that even the static characters are actually one-note flat characters.
And that's not true.
And yeah, that's not true, because if you're saying they're flat characters, then that means they basically have one personality trait, and they don't. Even this most static character has more than one trait. They have a few things going on with them. They might not change, but they have depth. I can't think of anybody except villains. I can't think of any character in JoJo's except the villains that only have one characteristic. That are only one-dimensional. All the rest of the main cast and the heroes have a lot going on, even if they don't change. I'd say they even have more going on than Goku.
Yeah, that can definitely be said, especially with how JoJo's influenced Dragon Ball.
Yeah, JoJo's influenced a lot.
But let's see what else.
Let's keep going. I don't agree with this assessment. Well, I get it's his opinion. I totally get it, but it's like, the further we're getting into this, the more I'm getting upset, because it's like, well, actually, your opinion's wrong. Like, you can still feel that way. That's fine. But you shouldn't be asserting things that are, like, factually inaccurate. Because it's okay to be like, go on.
You need to separate the subjective from the objective.
Yeah, absolutely. Because he can say, like, I think I would have less of an issue at this point in the video if he hadn't just said static characters are fine, and then said, but JoJo's static characters are not fine because they're flat. And it's like, okay, look, now you're getting into this weird thing where your argument is defeating itself, and I'm getting annoyed. Because I'm okay with your opinion being that you don't like JoJo's, but the further that you're arguing the reason why you don't like JoJo's, you're defeating your own argument, and it's really annoying.
Exactly, and we've already discussed the static, flat character arcs.
Yes, exactly. I don't think. Hopefully, we won't need to pause it to address this again.
Hopefully not.
Yet is sometimes an evil character becoming nice. And to further show how lame and forgettable the characters are, most of them die unceremoniously. If you don't like a series where beloved characters are unceremoniously killed, maybe JoJo's isn't for you.
No, they're killed in Abdul, Iggy, Caesar, and a whole bunch of other characters in JoJo's are killed unceremoniously, yes, but they are to leave an impact on the characters that are still left.
I don't think any of them were killed unceremoniously.
The only one that could be considered killed unceremoniously would probably be Caesar, but that was because...
No, not even that.
No?
No, neither of the Zeppelins died unceremoniously. Come on. Come on, neither of them died unceremoniously. The first one gave an entire speech and saved the JoJo's life with giving him his Hamon energy and then fulfilling essentially the prophecy that he was foretold would happen to him. Then the second Caesar died by being crushed by a ceiling block that fell out like a cross, and he went out like a saint, giving a clue to the protagonist of how to defeat the next enemy. You know, like gave him his bandana, and then with the bubbles, he was able to piece it together what happened. Then the only person I could say would be closest to unceremonious is Emerald Splash, Emerald Diamond guy. But even but even he solved the mystery. He solved this. He gave the solution. But granted, that was a very sudden. It was a very sudden defeat.
But like I said before, the characters die in JoJo's, and they don't have this long monologue like they did in part
like most
1.
anime. Yeah, like most anime.
Like William Zeppeli survived based on allowing him to give Jonathan this whole spiel.
Guy got cut in half. That was insane.
Yeah, and he was still alive.
Yeah.
But as time went on,
that's because he had his lungs and he's really good at breathing.
Yeah, that's kind of also freaking. What was his name? Dyer. With only his head. Talking.
Dyer.
The one that had the Thundercrawl split attack. They got frozen by Dio in part 1, and then only his head.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about him. Yeah.
He was still alive and talking for a long time.
Yeah, we landed on the rose petal or the rose bushes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Araki had criticism about that, how the characters that should be dead are still alive, and he's like, you're right. So I'm going to change things up a bit, and they're not going to be able to give this long monologue speech.
Yeah, which I love that. I love it. Like when they die, they do die suddenly, but it's not unceremonious because there's usually a lot setting up to when they die. Now, Abdul's first death, which turned out to be a fake out, I actually wish that stayed in, and I would say, yeah, that was unceremonious in the sense that like he was just shot dead, boom, done. But the fact that he came back and then died a second time, I wouldn't call it unceremonious, but then I'd also say it was a little like it should have actually been. The only anime I can really think of that has unceremonious death is Attack on Titan. And it does it so much that it becomes a trope of the show.
Character deaths are supposed to be used to further the story. And give
heighten an emotion.
Heighten emotion and allow the characters that are still around to use that as motivation for finishing the story.
Absolutely. I just don't think there's really any unceremonious deaths in JoJo's. I really don't think there is. And anybody that, and maybe that's just my subjective opinion. And so if there is unceremonious deaths, then I would say I'm wrong, but it's done so well that it's not to the point of unpredictable. It's not Game of Thrones. It's not that this character that you love is now dead because you love them. It's like, no, there's a really good story reason that motivates the survivor to push forward and become better.
Yeah.
Like it's very different than just unceremoniously dead.
The best time to kill a character as well is whenever their arc is completely finished. Like,
absolutely.
You cannot write them any further. They cannot pertain to the story anymore. Then you can kill them.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I think JoJo's does that really well.
And yeah, it does. It especially in the later parts.
Yeah, and I guess Cosmonaut doesn't think so.
Let's see what else he thinks.
I think that the previous Zeppeli deaths were fine because they motivated the hero to fight on.
Okay, hold on, pause it.
Where people just...
So what the crap was that whole last thing that he was saying? Because like he just said like unceremonious deaths, blah blah blah, this and that. Oh, by the way, the two people that are probably the easiest to argue unceremonious. By the way, great deaths I know I argued they weren't unceremonious, but I'm just saying they would be the easiest to argue as unceremonious. And then he just said, well, yeah, both of those unceremonious deaths, awesome.
Yeah, let's hear it again real quick.
Yeah,
And die
okay.
unceremoniously. If
Mm-hmm.
you don't like a series where beloved characters are unceremoniously killed, maybe JoJo's isn't for you. I think that the previous Zeppeli deaths were fine because they motivated the hero to fight on, but part 3 is where people just start dropping like flies, and it's a trend that continues throughout the series.
Do they?
Deaths in JoJo.
Part 3, people start dropping like flies?
I mean, the only people that die...
Three people die. That's it.
Yeah, there's only 3 of the main cast that die. The ones that drop like flies are the Speedwagon Foundation guys that don't have anything to do with the story.
Yeah, exactly. The NPCs. The NPCs die unceremoniously, but part 3, the main cast just start. Okay, granted, now 3 people of a main cast dying is a lot, but it's done so well that I have no complaints with it. Anyways, that's all. That's crazy that he thinks part 3 is where it's like out of hand. Oh my God, so many people die unceremoniously. Zeppelins, that's fine. They died and they motivated the heroes. But when the characters in part 3 die, they don't motivate the heroes at all.
Let's see what else he's got to say about this. Then we can talk more.
Oh, jeez.
JoJo's are simply there for shock value, and that's
not oh my God,
fake out deaths we get. But I'll get into that.
One. There's one fake out death. Okay, wait. 2. You can argue Joseph was a fake out death. 2 fake out deaths.
Well, no, Joseph did die.
No, he didn't.
He did.
No,
actually
he survived.
killed him, and then Jotaro was able to bring him back by restarting his
heart. You're talking about the blood transfusion thing. No, I was talking about Joseph in part 2, because they had a funeral for him, but he wasn't dead.
Oh yeah. I forgot about
so
that
you could call that a fake out. I'd give that one. And then I guess part 3, yeah, Joseph fake out death, but at that point I think it was to establish a trope of, because I feel like at that point. But the thing is, that's death of the author. This shouldn't actually matter. I'm not going to make this part of my argument, but I'm still going to say it. Is I think the only reason Joseph died in part 3 and then didn't die in the end was to make fun of himself for the fact that Joseph survived falling from outer space back onto Earth and lived.
That could be a possibility.
Because I think in part 2, when he wrote that, he didn't realize what he did necessarily. Like, I think he was like, yeah, the hero should obviously survive. And then I have a really strong feeling that a lot of people are like, are you serious? Wait, you serious? He didn't actually die? Why didn't he die? He should have died. And then he's like, okay, I'm going to turn it into a joke. And I think that's why in part 3 Joseph dies. But yes, so that's 2 fake out deaths with Joseph, 1 fake out death with Abdul.
I can't think of another character that has a fake out death.
Fake out is playing dead fake out death? If someone's playing dead for a strategic advantage in a fight, is that a fake out?
No.
Then yeah, that's the only thing I can. Just the 3. Apparently, that's 3 too many. 3 too many. If you fake out death,
I really started to notice some of this stuff. The cracks were starting to form. These are things that I did not like in previous parts, and I was hoping that maybe the story would grow out of them. And as I started seeing them more and more, I started to get kind of annoyed. But again, it took me a while to accept that. I thought that I was supposed to like part 3, because through osmosis, I had seen so much about it. But a lot of the middle chunk of part 3 is just so goddamn boring. The fights aren't really as creative or exciting, and the stands are really lame in part 3, which makes sense because they're a new thing, but compared to some of the stands that the enemies have in the exact same arc, the main heroes have some really lame-ass powers. Jotaro's stand can punch really fast. Polnareff's stand has a sword. Abdul's stand can shoot fire. And Kakyoin's stand can throw rocks. Ooh, how exciting. I want an action figure of that. I was just never excited to see these heroes do anything, let alone...
So, the powers... Araki is known to give the main characters abilities that are useful all around and they can back one another up. And that is like you said, part 3 is where the stands get introduced, so there's still some creative freedom that Araki has with setting things in motion for later parts. But saying that their abilities are poorly written, no, because as you learn later on, Jotaro's ability is a mirror of what Dio can do.
Okay, so saying an ability is boring and uninteresting to you, that's one thing. Saying an ability is poorly written is another. What I mean by that, so like to distinguish the two, right? So boring versus poorly written.
Boring is subjective, and poorly written is objective.
Yeah, it's true. But so, like, to give an example, you have a stand like the sun. The fight with the sun is a really boring fight, but all of the powers, as simple as they are used objectively well. They're well written because you get the full-fledged, worked out version. And this is one of the things that makes me like Araki and the JoJo's series, is because from the beginning of the series to the end, and anytime a stand is introduced, you get the entire works of what the stand can do in basically every situation it could possibly be put in, and then it's killed off. Like, so it's like, so the sun, probably the worst stand in the history of the entire show. We get one whole episode with it. We get to see its entire usability, what it's good at, what it could possibly be used to do with, and then how to defeat it. And we also see our heroes put to their limits when it comes to facing off against a stand like that, which then also shows us more utility of how their stands work, growing their repertoire. And then by the time we get to the end of the series, we've seen our heroes use their stand powers in a multitude of ways till there's no questions. Because it's like probably the only show I can think of that you can't really ask, well, what about this? Like, you can, but there's an answer for it because we've seen answers given in the series. If it's like, well, could Star Platinum punch a guy underwater? Yes, we've seen how that would play out. If this stand fought that stand, how could we determine who would win, even though they never fought in the series? Well, we've seen the full extent of both stands, so we can determine a hypothesis and give a conclusion.
And the thing about stand fights as well is it's about strategy and mind games rather than brute strength.
Right. Like, even an ability as simple as I shoot fire, it's like, well, it really comes down to the tactician of it. And I will give him, though, I'll give Cosmonaut, he can think that any of it's boring. That's perfectly fine. And he can also think that the part 3 stands are weak or lame or simple because, like established is the first time they showed up. And once you get to part 4 and part 5, the stands become way more complicated and way more enjoyable, honestly. Like, I like part 3 and I like some of the stands in it, but when it comes to the part 4 and part 5 stands, they don't hold a candle to part 4 and part 5 stands. But the thing is, because of the way the whole show's written, someone in part 3 could be a threat to someone in part 5. Like, they totally could. It really just depends on the situation.
And that's one thing that Araki takes into consideration whenever putting these stands together.
Absolutely, because it's not like Dragon Ball. It's not that we can easily say, well, what was his name? Pilaf. Pilaf can't beat Piccolo. The end. And it's just that, because one is a power level 5 and the other is a power level 1,000. The end. No question. Like, there's no way, in the Dragon Ball universe, it's that simple. It's literally that simple. But in the Araki JoJo's universe, a rat can be a threat to a guy who stops time.
Because it all comes down to, like you said, tactician.
Well, you said it first. Yes, it's your tactician. It's your mind games. It's the situation that you're in. terrain, like literally everything that comes into play when doing a military campaign. You have to think about location, troops, fortifications, armament, and then do you have surprise? Are you able to catch them off surprise? Do you have flanking? Do you have air superior? Like, there's so many things that come into play in any of the fights in JoJo's that no other anime really has. Like, there's a few that get close, like Full Metal Alchemist gets kind of close to that in a sense, where it's like no matter what. But Full Metal Alchemist, I think the reason it gets close is because everyone essentially uses the same power, where in JoJo's everybody has different powers, so it's a little different. But I feel like Full Metal Alchemist gets closest when it comes to its fights.
Yeah, Full Metal Alchemist is more on an even playing field, though there are better alchemists than others because rudimentary and imagination come into play.
Right, like, because you do have a guy who, my alchemy is I shoot fire. And it's like, but technically he could do all alchemy as well. Like, he could grow a spear out of the ground. Because it comes down to because it's more scientific based, right? So it comes down to more like what symbols do you have on hand. That's an interesting one. Unless you've seen the truth. Let's not get into that. That's way too complicated. I shouldn't have even brought it up. It's really complicated.
That's a topic for another day.
Yeah, which we should definitely go into because I love Full Metal Alchemist. It's in my top 3, just like JoJo's.
Let's see.
Yeah, I just don't think that he's arguing his point very well. I get that he doesn't like it, and that's fine. I think every time he's presented an argument, I'm just like, that you don't have any ground. You're building an argument on sand. That's what's happening here. Is that he's making a not even a sand castle. He's got a little plastic shovel, and we're standing on the shoreline, on top of like a rock, just on the beach, and he's taking a small plastic shovel, and he's trying to pile it up at our feet so that he can stand on it to reach our level, to be like, see, I've made a good argument. But every time he stands on top of it, he's just sinking into it.
Yeah, he's just sinking into it more and more, that he just doesn't have good argumentation about things, even though I know this is supposed to be a rant and why he doesn't like JoJo's.
Yeah, it's Cosmonaut rant hour or something like that.
He should have a basis of understanding about everything because he's apparently watched the whole series.
No, not even watched the whole. No, he didn't watch it. He read it. He said at the very beginning, he was like, I watched the first episode and then I read it, and I think maybe we haven't gotten there yet. But he said he read it to a certain point. He stopped because he didn't like it, and then people said, well, part 3. So he came back, and I think he watched a little bit of part 3, then went back to reading it. And he's actually, from my understanding, I don't know how old this video is, but he's caught up to whatever point this video is. Like, he literally read all of it just to prove the JoJo's fans wrong that he doesn't like it, because he read everything. He read it all, and he doesn't like it. And this is his argument for why he doesn't like it. And it's a poor argument, poorly founded, poorly worded. But it's okay he doesn't like it. I have no problem with that. I just want to make sure I iterate that fully. It is okay that he does not like it. If you're going to say you don't like something and then make a 20-minute video explaining why you don't like something, then you better give good reasons. Otherwise, this should be just like that the Rise of Skywalker video. This should be a 2-minute video. This should just be to dismiss all the JoJo's fans, a little 2-minute video of I don't like it, here's why I don't like it, and it could be as simple as I'm not a fan of static characters. I don't like Araki's style of killing off main cast members. And I'm not a fan of the stand powers. That seems like basically his whole argument. And it should be pretty much that simple. And I get that people would be like, well, can you go into more detail? Can you explain it? But then you just leave it alone at that point. Because this is what you get when you don't leave it alone. When you're like, well, let me explain myself, is you get argumentation falling in on itself constantly, where 3 minutes ago you said one thing and then this minute you're saying another thing that contradicts that thing. Like, you don't have a dude, Cosmonaut. Cosmonaut. No disrespect, but this is awful. This is awful. Please have points that don't contradict points you made earlier.
Win a fight. That is until the last few bits of part 3. The last few fights are actually kind of cool. I'd say
Nice.
everything from the pet shop fight up
Yes.
is actually pretty decent. And it just shows
Pet shop
you
fight
that
is probably the best fight in the whole series. In R3. Part 3, the pet shop fight and the Darby brothers.
Darby Brothers, yeah.
Darby Brothers and Pet Shop are probably the best fights in part 3. But also that's something I was going to mention earlier, but I was waiting until we paused it. I agree with him that part 3, the middle half, really drags on. Like the first few episodes are really good, but then it doesn't pick back up until we get to Egypt, and there's a lot of slog. There's a lot of stuff that, as much as I like JoJo's, it is really hard to rewatch. It feels so slow. And it's not that I think that it's poorly written or any, like, because he listed off like 5 or 6 things that he was like, yeah, I don't like it because of these things. And I was like, I don't think any of those things are there. So it's very subjective. I would just say, I also think the middle part's boring. And it's because we're not getting anywhere. It's because it feels like it's written to draw time out. Like where it's like, oh, here's the villain of the week. And we're going to fight him. And then we, 2 episodes goes by, we beat them, and then now we move to the next town, and I just got really bored. It's definitely a subjective thing of like, I feel like the middle part was really boring as well. It basically starts with what would be when they leave the hotel after fighting the smoke puppet lady. You know what I'm talking about? We mentioned her. We had mentioned her a while back. Basically, from that point until they land in Egypt, I'm like, this is boring. Also, the episode where they fight the car, that is so lame. Like, I don't like it at all. But I don't have any objective reasons because personally, if I'm going to separate my feelings objectively, it's solid, and there's no real bad episodes. Maybe The Sun. I have to rewatch that. I might be able to make a good argument why objectively the Sun episode is a bad episode.
The Sun is not a bad episode in my The Sun is written well because they're in a new situation that they don't understand what is going on,
Right.
and they're trying to figure out why it's constantly increasing in temperature. And then once they finally figure it out, they're like, "Oh, we have everything." While Joseph's over here trying to figure out what's still going on.
And they one-shot the villain. But yeah, okay. Yeah, fair point. Maybe objectively, I might have to rewatch part 3 and actually look at it very critically. Because I have definitely not sat down. Well, I have actually looked at it kind of critically, and I do have to say that the final fight with Dio in part 3 is objectively badly written. It is the final fight with Dio is poorly written. Part 1 was solid all the way through. Part 2 has one major goof, or maybe 2, I should say, 2 really bad parts that are objectively bad. And then part 3 has absolutely for sure one objectively bad thing, which is the Dio fight. Part 4, I think there was one thing that was objectively bad, but I might not remember. I'd have to think about it for a little bit. But like, there's definitely the thing is there is bad stuff for sure that I can, even as a JoJo's fan, be like, no, that's stupid and bad and poorly written, because it does happen.
Yeah, and also we have another guest here with us.
Oh, I'd love another guest.
Anyway, I started blasting. Bang, bang.
I got hit by an ad there.
Yeah. Your intro is an ad for sure.
What's up,
I was
Casual?
really hoping for roundabout, but I guess that works too.
Oh, dude, I love the avatar there. Casual, bro, it's good to see you. I feel like did we ever play Apex together?
Don't know. I
Well, you
don't
see my-
recall.
my gamer tag's right there, flying to the moon. If you ever played with me on Apex, you would recommend you'd recognize me by that.
I don't know. If we did, it was probably a while ago. I haven't played Apex for about 2 or 3 months now.
Oh, okay though. No, it's
But
not
I
you.
do
You
play
have
in
a,
pubs.
you got that voice, man. You got that voice of golden god voice.
Well, thank you.
All right. Well, I guess this is the first time I'm meeting you, so it's good to meet you.
Yeah, good to meet you too, man.
But yeah, Casual knows a bit about JoJo's as well, and I asked him if he wanted to come on since he was in the comments a little while ago.
Yeah.
So I know you're
I
not
didn't-
caught up with
I
everything.
didn't know we had commenters. I'm so excited. I haven't been paying attention to the stream. I've just been so frustrated with this video that I haven't been paying attention.
So you
So-
only need to pick me up to speed on what's
So
going on here.
real quick.
Well, why don't we just start over?
Oh no, I can summarize this pretty quickly. He's saying that the characters are flat. That there are no characters that actually have an arc within JoJo's. He's also saying that a lot of the characters die unceremoniously and without reason, and that
Especially in part 3. Especially in part 3, they die unceremoniously.
yes, and
Mhm.
that all JoJo's characters can fall into 3 categories of the funny coward, the calm and cool, and the one that likes to murder.
Uh-huh.
That's what we've gotten so far.
Okay, well, with that one, remember it's that his words he said was crazy murderer, but the words he put on screen was likes to murder.
So
Yes.
real quick, has this guy ever read the chapters in Shonen Jump when it was first made?
Yes.
Yes, he is going based on the manga and the anime.
Okay.
More so the manga than the anime.
As far as I'm understanding, what he said is that he has read the entire manga and he's watched some of the anime.
Hmm.
Now, by read the entire manga, I think this video is a couple years old. So he hasn't read literally every chapter up to this point, but he read every chapter up to the point that he made the video.
Okay.
Yeah, this
Which I'm
came
pretty-
out in September of last year.
And I'm pretty sure he did it just so he could be like, yeah, JoJo's fans, you suck. I hate your thing.
Oh, we always need a hater.
Oh, dude, who doesn't? Every medium of, everyone needs a hater.
And then he's saying that every fight, all the way up until Pet Shop of Part 3, were boring and uninteresting. But after Pet Shop and onward, the fights are good.
Yeah, so apparently he likes Pet Shop, Vanilla Ice, and Dio, and that's it. Is from what I'm understanding. Which I'd actually have to kind of disagree. I actually think the Dio fight is one of the weaker parts of Part 3, and that the Darby fights and Pet Shop fight are the strongest fights of Part 3.
Personally, I loved all the fights except with
You're gonna say
Except
the
with the
sun,
ma-
aren't you?
no.
Please say the sun. Please say the sun.
I actually like the Sun one. The Sun one was.
What?
I think the dumbest one for me was with the magnetism girl.
Oh, Bast?
Interesting. Okay.
Mariah
Dude.
Bast.
Yeah. So
Hey.
personally, like
Mhm.
I love Joseph Joestar. Joseph Joestar is my absolute favorite character in the JoJo series, both young and old Joseph.
Very
But,
reasonable.
That
Very
particular that particular set with her, just I don't know. It felt like it didn't really elaborate on her too much. She was too much in the background to like really be an antagonist, and that's the part where it felt really slow. But the stuff that was happening between Abdul and Joseph was amazing. I enjoyed it. It's just I wanted to see more of the antagonist in that part. That's all.
I have to agree with you. Oh, no, go on.
She really didn't have a presence within the story itself. She was just allowing things to happen,
Mm-hmm.
and it was that her ability was on full display, but her as a character absolutely was not. It's kind of like the fight with what was the name? The one that could turn into things and was on the submarine with them. And then Jotaro one-shots her whenever they get on shore.
Not Queen.
Do you know which one I'm talking about, right?
Crap, I can't think of her name offhand, but yes, that fight was actually the fight that made me think JoJo's was boring, and I that was the first time I watched through. We got to that fight in the submarine. Part 1, I was like, oh, this is cool, and then we got to part 2, and I was like, okay, I'm bored of this. But thankfully, they get to
Part
Egypt in like the
3.
next couple episodes. Yep, yeah, no, part 2 of the fight.
Oh yeah.
Because it's a 2-part. Most of the fights in part 3 are 2-part fights.
That's true.
Yeah,
Well-
it's usually episode 1 of the fight is we meet the character, we fight them, and then part 2 of the fight is we beat the character and we meet the next guy. That's the formula of part 3, and so I get why that can get kind of stale. Because I definitely lost interest the same way that I think Cosmonaut did, where part 3 got really boring in the middle. But the reasons that he gave, I have to disagree with. Because he basically tried in this argumentation to be like, here's solid reasons, maybe even objective reasons why part 3 is boring in the middle. And I'd have to say, watching it a second time, no, there is no objective reasons that the middle is boring. It was literally that I lost interest. It's a very subjective, just I lost interest. Because on my second time through, watching with someone who had never watched it before, and we're watching it together, I didn't lose interest. The first time when I was watching it alone, I lost interest because it was just a subjective me thing.
Yeah.
All right,
So
so
one of the
what were you gonna say?
So I was going to say one of the things that I really want to bring up about part 3 specifically is the original manga adaptation was like late 80s, early 90s, and that's the time when like Dragon Ball, like other young comics were like really starting to go into effect. So like JoJo's had to really stand out in a way of its own. It did get a OVA and a video game adaptation, but I don't think it was very widely known in specifically the North American region.
No, definitely not.
Until those anime came out. And it was quite recently. And the thing about JoJo's is, hard cut-ins, like really, really just fiery. It's got to be that hard cuts, very, very spicy. And you don't really understand it until you start reading the comics. And it's like, the comics were like really sticking out to people as they read it. So yes, it's going to sound a little bit, stiff sometimes. It's going to sound a little bit like, they're trying really, really hard to put out these expressions out there. But
what do you mean? What do you mean by hard cuts?
So like, when just shonen manga sound effects, how you have like the menacing symbol and like the really flashy poses and stuff. When I say hard cut-ins, I mean like, whenever they cut to each character or whenever they're
so in a cinematography way. That's what I thought you meant, but I wanted to make sure I understood. Yeah, dude, that's one of the things I love about it. But yeah. It's definitely different for a Western audience compared to what was around in the time.
Yeah, you'll literally never see that style in any other anime adaptation for any other manga series at all.
Dude, isn't that the reason that Quentin Tarantino stands out? Is because of his use of hard cuts like that, So it's like, it's definitely for the West. It's like super unnatural in a way. It's like it's unheard of to do such a thing. And then a guy like Quentin Tarantino comes around, or the Wachowskis come around and make their things, and it's like, whoa, this is to the Western audience, it's like this is unheard of. This is completely different. It's revolutionizing cinema. And it's like, oh, have you seen what they're doing in the East? Like, because like they're totally just ripping them off, like it's something that's definitely been around. It's good. And the thing is, like, JoJo's is in my top 3 because it's the only anime I've ever seen that can really keep my interest. Like the poses, like you were just mentioning, the poses, the hard cuts to the poses, just like the art more than anything. Because I am totally a snob when it comes to art, and all cartoons and anything animated and hand drawn, any of that, I consider all of it art. And so if you show me a drawing that sucks, I say no, and I'm not going to see anything else. So even if it's an animated thing and it's like I see the first drawing and I'm like, I hate that drawing, it's terrible, I'm not going to watch the rest. I'm really snobby when it comes to that. I watch JoJo's and I see all of the crap that they do in the first episode of part 1, and I'm like, this is awesome. Like, this is really good. This is so different. It's unique. The art style is great. And then by the time we get to in the anime part 5, where the art style changes, I just love it even more.
Yeah, I saw something really interesting. And by interesting, I mean it made my mind vomit a little bit because it just doesn't seem right. So pretty much somebody tried to reanimate the Jotaro versus Dio fight scene in 60 FPS.
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
They interpolated everything. So it's like the visual flair was pretty much gone. It looks like it just looked nasty, man.
Yeah. Dude, that kind of thought process there of like, let's make this fight 60 FPS when it was probably made in like 24 when it was originally drawn. Like, that thought process is one of the reasons that I'm not a fan of. Crap, I just lost my train of thought. Yeah, forget it. Whatever. Yeah, I don't like that kind of stuff.
Well, either way, it just goes to show that if you're not the original artist or you don't catch the original artist's intent, that you're going to end up making a really shitty product. And in this case, like, you know, you have an amazing anime series that was drawn into the visual style and flair that the author originally intended. And that's no small feat at all.
Yeah, as you were talking, it reminded me, what I was going to say is that's the reason I'm not a big fan of Dragon Ball Super. I think that the art style is trying to be too crisp and too nice, and it doesn't capture the heart of what made the animated version of Dragon Ball special. And it's the same kind of thing, like if some third party goes back over a show and is like, look, we can put it in 60 FPS, and, you know, like you're saying, they interpolate the intermediate frames, and it's like, well, you're actually just ruining the animation. You're making it janky, you know, but your eye, I guess, doesn't see it, but because someone like you and I that admire the artwork of it, it's like we see that kind of crap, and animators see that kind of crap. And so that's my problem with like Super, is I go back and I'm watching Super as it's coming out, and I'm like, whoa, you're animating this in a way that's just not enjoyable. And my most enjoyable thing was I was watching it and my internet started like going out or something, and so like all of a sudden it automatically lowered itself to like a 360 or 480p or something like that, and I was like, oh, this actually looks good again. Holy crap, like Super looks good if it's 480p. You know, and all my roommates and everything are like, you're insane. I'm like, no, this I like that. I like the way that looks, but all this extra crap is just garbage.
So you may be getting a little off track here. Let's get back to why this guy doesn't like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. So
I agree.
Yeah. So let's see what other points he has real quick, and we'll.
They're gonna be terrible, but yeah.
Need to be
let's just
that long. I think part of the reason why I liked part 2 so much is because it wasn't really that bloated. It felt like everything was kind of there on purpose to service the story. I feel like it didn't really waste your time too much. And in part 3, it really does waste your time. But I gotta say, the last battle in part 3 is pretty fucking good. It's probably the best fight in the entire series. It's so good that it almost tricked me into forgetting that I did not enjoy a majority of the rest of the arc. But nothing could truly make me forget that slog. So when I ended Stardust Crusaders, I was really not that excited to read more JoJo's. I think at this point, I started to feel the burnout just a little bit. And I heard that part 4 was like kind of low stakes and more akin to a slice of life series. And I thought the new characters looked kind of lame design-wise. And I didn't think this new adventure could really hold my attention. But boy, was I wrong, because part 4 is the best part in JoJo's.
I might have to agree with him on that. That part 4 is the best part.
Part 4 is where things change up a lot, and it also has some of the best openings, and some of the best characters, honestly. Because I remember Okuyasu more than I do like Kakyoin or even Smokey for the little amount of time that he's been in.
Smokey, yeah.
Smokey was
Dude.
most certainly definitely designed to be a side character, and we all know it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I just have to agree with him that I think part 4 might be the best, and I think it's because Iraqi chose to lower the stakes, because every part so far had been just amping it up, and then part 3 introduced stands, and they might have slightly reduced the stakes because they went back to a vampire overlord instead of a world killing god of destruction essentially that were the Pillarmen. But part 3 kind of lowered the stakes, but it ramped up the whole series. And then part 4 was like, okay, the series has been ramped up. Let's lower the stakes to this town is in danger. And I think that might be the reason I love it the most.
Part 4 also has Cinderella and Tonio,
Which is cool. Yeah,
I absolutely
cool.
love Tonio.
Love them both. Yeah, love them both.
And his ability of Pearl Jam allowing people to heal themselves based on the food that he eats and incorporating his stand ability within the food is honestly very, very unique. And also, the music for part 4 is one of my favorite parts about the series. It just feels like it fits.
Yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and debate music. It's too objective. So I'm not even gonna talk about it. The thing I will say though is that I think with everything that he said in this last between pauses, the only thing I disagree with him on is that I actually think that the Dio fight in part 3 was one of the weakest parts of part 3.
Have you guys noticed that in all the parts so far? Farrell, leave me alone. But have you guys noticed that in pretty much all of the JoJo's, bar the first part, all of the protagonists have been delinquents of some sort?
That was because
say that again. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Okay, well, part 2, Joseph Joestar, delinquent. Part 3, Jotaro, delinquent.
Yes.
Part 4, Josuke, kind of a delinquent, definitely has the look, but definitely a nice guy. Part 5, Giorno, most certainly, definitely a thug and a delinquent, and also wanting to take over the mafia.
Oh, we lost him.
We lost him. He was about to say something smart. Now he's going to be derailed.
I think he'll be back in a few, but you're right about the characters being delinquents, but that's also what was going on around the time.
Yeah, I know.
And also, Jotaro wasn't really a delinquent. He had the look of it, but he also was able to do well in school for the time that he went. He just didn't care.
Oh, yeah. And he definitely, was having drinks underage and smoking and pretty much telling his mom to shut the hell up and all that. But
he also loved his mom at the same time.
Yeah, I know. All good things, but, he definitely had the attitude of a delinquent. And
Austin is back.
Welcome back.
Yeah, sorry, I clicked the wrong button. But yes, I agree. All the JoJo's except for Jonathan are delinquents. Yes.
Yeah, I can't wait to see how they portray Jolene.
Dude, I'm really excited about that.
That continues all the way up now that I think about it, all the way to part 8.
Jolene?
Jolene?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a delinquent as well, though it's more subtle in his character than it is on the others.
Okay. I'm still reading part 7 right now, so I need to catch up to that.
Yes,
I have not read any of the manga, and I'm waiting for part 6 to get animated.
Let's see.
I'm years and years behind. Yeah, let's see what he has to say.
Everything that people love about JoJo's is here, and it's strongest in Diamond is Unbreakable. Out of nowhere, the characters are actually likable, and they have a tighter friendship than the characters in previous parts. So
they haven't been likable before.
More engaging, and all the characters are pretty unique from one another because there's not too many of them, and they have some of the most fun character traits. With Rohan not only being my favorite JoJo's character, but one of my favorite shonen characters.
Okay, pause.
So I want to say something about
you first.
Characters. Not having a large cast of characters.
That's exactly what I wanted to say. Thank you. That's what I was going to say.
because you're in this small town, you get to know every individual character within the town that actually has stakes within the story, and it has the largest cast because it's such a condensed area. Where in part 3,
Mhm.
you're traveling around the world. Yeah, you're going to
Mhm.
encounter all these people, but there are more fights in part 4 than there are in part 3.
Yep.
Even with the
Okay.
character.
I was gonna say I have nothing else to say. You said everything I was planning on saying, so I agree entirely.
Yeah. So the best part about part 4 is that even if the characters only had a 1-episode show, they were still memorable characters because the artist portrayed them in a way that forced you to remember them. Like with the first episode, I don't remember the guy's name or his stand. The guy who got trapped in the rock,
Dude,
but he became a memorial.
He freaking can control the rain. Like if the rain shows up, he moves throughout the. Dude, that's so powerful. Yeah, he was awesome. That serial killer was crazy.
Yeah. Even though you don't remember his name, he'll always remember what kind of character he was. So
absolutely. Oh, and just to address whatever comment just popped up in the chat, no, the steaks were cooked rare, as they should be, bloody and rare.
We don't talk to people who cook their steaks well done with ketchup.
What? Who puts ketchup on steak?
People who cook their steaks well done.
Sinners.
Yeah. You can't really argue with them either because they're still chewing.
Let's see what he's got to say about Rohan, though. Because Rohan is probably one of the best characters within Part 4 being written. But the other characters are also very, very memorable.
Yeah.
Love that all the characters feel like they know that they're in way over their heads, and it's fun to see them appropriately react to the insane shit that they encounter. It's called JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and this is the one arc where it truly feels like a guy named JoJo is experiencing a bizarre adventure and acting appropriately. The fact that Josuke is a normal fucking dude is why I love him more than the other JoJos. He's the most relatable one by far, and although he doesn't change much over the course of the story, he's just solid. Hell, even Jotaro is good in part 4. While his cool guy routine wore thin on me over the course of the last adventure, in this one he just shows up every once in a while to be a badass. I think he's best used sparingly, and part 4 is proof of that. And while part...
So, all the characters have been, normal people. Jonathan was just a kid in England that his dad was just rich. He didn't really have anything going for him other than being able to go to college with Dio. And then Joseph, he was normal for an episode. He was just a dude walking around New York. And then he got wrapped up into the antics of the Pillarmen.
I feel like
Jotaro was just a high school student.
Can I just say my one thing real quick? Because I only have one thing to say about this last segment of Cosmonaut. He said that this is the only part that seemed like they were actually participating in a bizarre adventure, and I disagree. I think from the moment that they stopped playing football, and all of a sudden the stakes were don't spill a single drop of this glass of wine, or the entire world gets taken over by a vampire lord. We started our bizarre adventure. Okay, so that just say that's all. That's all I have to say about that.
You're doing your job, Farrell.
we're proud of you, Farrell. Well, some of us are. The rest of us will vote you out. But anyways, the part I was going to say to you, I have 2 points of contention on here. He said that Jotaro is best used sparingly. In part 3, he was used very sparingly. So the parts that he did stand out in, he really did stand out in. But if you notice, he didn't really show up until the end of that particular episode arc, or he was just kind of in the background until he did, his signature Aurora move on them. And
Jotaro, like, people say that Jotaro isn't the main character of part 3, that it's actually Polnareff.
I respect that argument.
Because Polnareff has the character growth, he has the arc, and he does more within Part 3 than Jotaro does.
The JoJo's are definitely the main character, no matter what part it is. But I definitely understand the argument that Polnareff, with his character development, is the main character. But that's more of just a looking at the thing and saying, well, this person got the most screen time in the sense of like development versus what the main story is about. Because like even in part 5, where Giorno is basically taking a back seat, he is the main character. It's JoJo. It's the story is about the Joestars. The end. So the Joestar is always the main character. It doesn't mean that they get the most screen time, and it doesn't mean that they have the most growth. But it's about them. It's about their family bloodline and the troubles they're going through.
But what was your second point of contention, Kaz?
Oh, is this thing on? Okay, this thing's on. I don't remember. Honestly, I got derailed after I had a huge sneeze and I had to mute myself. So let's just continue on.
That
I'm
sucks.
sure I'll
Yeah,
remember it
let's go
later
on.
Part 4 is a slice of life story. It's also like a supernatural murder mystery. It's a surprisingly fun premise. Being focused on a smaller scale means you get to really appreciate the quirkiness of the story. The wacky stuff isn't just weird for the sake of it, it's genuinely charming. And that's one of the biggest problems that JoJo has, in my opinion, trying to balance wackiness with consistency. Since everything in part 4 is already kind of mundane, the weird shit stands out appropriately. It's an arc where you can have a fight just centered around rock, paper, scissors, and it's pretty exciting. One of the most iconic encounters features JoJo and Okuyatsu in a restaurant where they're just super cautious of the chef for no reason other than the fact that the story expects you to be cautious of him. And then in the end, he just turns out to be a chill guy. There's a story.
So, I want to say that the way that the stories are written, even the most mundane in the previous parts, make the strange things that happen stand out more as well, because there's an arc where they just play poker. There's an arc where they just play
Dice.
video games.
Oh yeah, I thought you were talking about dice. Yeah, the dice. Part 4's dice playing episodes might be my favorite. And like the main reason is because in the middle of them playing dice, and JoJo's almost found out for being a cheater. All of a sudden, the dude's like, the fire, because there's like fire trucks all the time. It's like, oh, it's here, it's your house is on fire. I lost it. I absolutely lost it. I love that part.
No, I was saying for like part 3, the poker game against the Darby brother, older Darby, and then the younger Darby video game, because those are mundane tasks, but they're using their abilities to make it a little bit different.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
You got anything, Kaz?
I was just going to say, it's all about the dramatic buildup, of course.
Yeah, it's all about being a good writer, because a good writer could literally take the simplest, most mundane thing and make it compelling and gripping. And Araki does it a lot.
Let's see what else he's got here, because he's about to talk about the alien.
Storyline where the characters meet someone who claims to be an alien, and we never actually find out if he's an alien or not, and it's actually really fucking funny. Part 4 is perfect at balancing the mundane with the strange, and that is exactly what JoJo's needs. Also,
wait a second. I thought he didn't like the funny, cowardly characters. I thought he said that was lame, that there's only 3 types of characters: funny cowards, calm and cool, and crazy murder. I thought he didn't like that. And then now here he is totally being like, oh, by the way, that like alien that didn't really do anything, he's great because he's funny.
He does backpedal on some things that he's said already. So
and that is the point I'm making, is the further we get into this, the more the beginning arguments fall into the latter arguments as being contradicted and being contradicted. He's contradicting himself through the whole video. He's contradicted himself multiple times.
Is he saying that he doesn't like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 3 or JoJo's as an entirety?
Entirety.
Okay.
But But as you've seen, and I know you've only been here for a couple minutes because we keep pausing, as you'll see as we continue, because I'm sure it's going to keep doing it, he'll give an argument for why he thinks something's bad, and then we'll go a couple minutes in, and he'll say that thing is good, but that he doesn't like it.
On certain characters or certain arcs.
And that's happened the entire video, is this is bad, except when it's good, but it's bad.
So let's see what else he's got to say about part 4, and then he'll probably lead into part 5 and 6.
Oh man.
I'll say as far as the manga is concerned, this is where Araki's style really grew on me. It's not easy to convey some of the shit that JoJo's has in 2D black and white, but part 4 has the most consistent art up to this point. I just overall love part 4. This is where I finally realized that I might actually like this series. It seemed like Araki realized what made previous parts good and bad and took those things to grow as an author and an artist. Diamond is Unbreakable is the only time that I did not want a JoJo's arc to end. I genuinely wanted to keep enjoying adventures with these characters, whereas in previous arcs, I was perfectly fine with moving on. But still, after part 4, I was hyped to keep going. I was on cloud 9. I wanted more JoJo's, and I really fucking hate part 5. And I feel like I'm in an alternate dimension because back in my day, everybody I knew hated part 5 because it's garbage. It's one of the messiest shonen storylines I've ever read. And some people say, oh, you probably just read bad translations. Bitch, I went through it again to see if I was just imagining how bad it is. No, part 4 is still good with bad translations. So this is not
So
an excuse.
he is admitting he's reread the manga multiple times, actually, in order to prove JoJo's fans wrong. That's all.
Oh, let's carry on.
Part 5 has everything that I hated in previous JoJo's parts, but amped up to 11. The characters are whack. Calm, cool guy. Calm, cool guy. Calm, cool guy. Funny cowards. Giorno is a joke.
Whoa! No. For real? Funny cowards? Funny cowards.
Who do you say that were the funny cowards again?
Yeah, go back.
Cowards.
Get the event right there. Back it up like 1 second, 2 seconds.
Mista and Narancia.
Both of them, yeah. Funny cowards.
No, Narancia is definitely not a coward, and neither is Mista, because Mista goes headfirst into combat every time. He doesn't think before he acts. Narancia gets angry and just loses his control over how he handles the situation. Yeah. Situation.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
Just an idiot.
I'm not giving him the benefit of the doubt this time. The last time he put Funny Coward on the screen, I gave him the benefit of the doubt, but it turned out to be wrong because then, as it went on, he was saying, "Yeah, look, he was a funny coward, but that turned into a murderer, or that he was a murderer that turned into a funny coward when they were showing Speedwagon." So this time around, I know that he is genuine with the clips he puts on screen, and no. I totally disagree. There is no funny cowards in part 5. That is all.
But also, he said that Fugo was calm and cool. No. Fugo loses his temper a lot.
Definitely the opposite of calm and cool.
Yeah, and the best part is his stand is, a personification of who he is. It is a purple haze. It is a rage. It is something that destroys everything.
It literally foams at the mouth with rage.
And the best part is, he'll still go in. If you think about it, he's actually the most gimped if his allies are around. Because if he activates it,
you're right.
Everyone's just going to get fucked. So he goes into these dangerous situations not using his stand at all. Don't think that's a coward. Just saying. Yeah,
not a coward at all. You're absolutely right. Being the guy that's like, the last thing I need to do is use my powers because I could kill all of the people I respect. Yeah, not a coward.
Let's see what else he has to say about the characters.
Dude, at this point, honestly, I just want to finish this crap. I'm so pissed off. Let's just... Oh, of course he is. Yeah, he's the worst. Yeah.
If you ask me, Giorno and Bruno should be merged into one character. Bruno is the more compelling character with the more interesting stand and more stake in the actual story. Giorno...
Nope.
What? Bruno and...
Nope.
Giorno have their own stakes in the story. One does not outweigh the other.
No, it's like I said earlier, they're mirrors of each other, and that's what I think is beautiful.
Is just a guy. Even the fact that he's Dio's son goes completely unused in the story. He could
Just a
as
guy.
well be some random dude and nothing would change. I can't even name a single character trait for Giorno. He's the only JoJo.
Oh,
that
pause,
can say
pause.
that.
All right, guys. Can we name some character traits of Giorno?
Loyal.
Cool guy.
Cool. Wait, no, that goes against our argument because he just said the only types of characters are cool and calm. So if you say he's cool or calm, you're just playing into his stereotype. It's good.
Oh, that's what I said earlier.
Loyal works. But what else?
Motivated to reach his goal. He wants to get drugs off the streets.
Yeah.
Also,
I'll agree on that too.
Farrell, you make a really good point. He does seem hard set.
Dude, at this point, you should just bring Farrell into the call. He's
Farrell's
commented like
watched
12
JoJo's.
times.
I think he's watched JoJo's though.
Who cares? I barely.
He could be an
He
unbiased.
said that he
opinion
doesn't
here.
like JoJo's.
Yeah, but he's made so many good comments. He could just mute his mic and then comment instead of typing it out. He could just say his comments. It doesn't matter. You're the host. You do what you think's best. I'm just happy to have somebody commenting while we're talking. Look, okay, so we've already got one because Cosmonaut says there's no traits that you could name, and we've already got loyal. Can we do more than that? Can we beat Cosmonaut? Can we say some character traits?
Determination. He also has
I would say diligent.
Adaptability, that's for sure.
he's
That's a
very
good one.
adaptable in the
Yeah.
situation. Especially against Babyface.
Intelligent.
And also changing him to a normal character and not changing the story at all. Yeah, no,
Focused.
that's wrong. Because everything relies on Giorno. The characters would have been dead long before their actual demise if Giorno hadn't been there.
Wasn't he also just praising Part 4's Josuke about how normal he was?
Yes.
And they both have the same ability essentially, except for Giorno can make can heal them based off anything.
Essentially, it's a rough thing to say because I think even though both of them are healers, Giorno is completely different.
Especially
He's
when
more
he gets out there
adaptable.
the second time.
His ability is insanely different.
Once he gets golden experience with the second arrow hit, yeah,
Dude.
he's basically unstoppable.
Even before that, but yes. Once he does that, he is unstoppable. And in my personal opinion, because I'll go ahead and set that caveat, I think it sucks once he gets golden experience. Golden experience Requiem or whatever, like that just to me is the worst thing ever. Part 5 has the worst ending ever. I'm rewatching it now. I've only watched through it once, and maybe I'll have a different opinion watching through it a second time. But as of right now, I think it's the worst finale
All right.
out of the
and
entire series. But
real
look,
quick,
hold on.
Austin, Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what the ladies like.
Hello, Farrell.
Yo.
Yo, the commoners here.
Dude, there's a lot more than 12 comments. I've been trying to derail this whole thing.
I
Yeah.
know you have.
Well, I'm glad that you're here. Yeah, exactly. You can do it live.
All right, so I'll straight up admit, like, I haven't really gotten too far into JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Like, I honestly couldn't make it past part 2. Like, I think I got about halfway through.
Wait, so are you on Cosmonaut's side?
I don't like that. I wouldn't say that I'm on his side.
Look, there's no problem if you are. If anything, if you are, that would actually be beautiful because we would have a live commentator who's arguing with him.
See, here's the thing.
That'd
like,
be nice.
He's not
These
really
little
arguing with
clips
him, though.
I was about to say, these clips that I've seen of him, like, I agree with y'all. Like, this guy's an idiot. it's just to me, it's just for me,
yeah.
like the style of everything is what I didn't like. I didn't like how they kept changing into these arcs. So
Yeah, fair enough.
To me, it got kind of boring, kind of almost repetitive. All they did was just change around like how they did stuff for the fights.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing that I don't know if you caught the beginning of the stream, but when it was just me and Cyrac, the thing we were saying when we first started this video is that it's okay to say I don't like it, but then once you take 20 minutes to argue the reasons you don't, and those arguments start contradicting themselves, that's when there's a problem.
Yeah, no, like just this little bit that I've seen, like I've heard I think about 4 different contradictions. I'm like, no,
right? It's super. It's freaking crazy.
By the way, if you guys were introducing somebody new to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, what parts in order would you recommend them to watch it? Because me personally, I would say start off with part 3, then go back to 1 and 2. That way you'll get a better appreciation for 1 and 2.
Yeah. If I could go ahead and say, I'd say 3, 4, 1, 2 is the order I would recommend.
I would probably go with 3, then 1 and 2 as well, honestly, but my experience to JoJo was I started watching from the very beginning, and I absolutely love Phantom Blood because it has the horror elements that I enjoy.
Oh yeah. I will say, whenever I introduce it to anybody, I'm like, this is actually a horror like spirit anime. It's not just a battle anime. It is a horror story cloaked in a battle anime.
Yeah, my first experience with JoJo's was actually with the fighting game, so I had no idea about JoJo's until the anime came out.
Maybe that's why I don't like it, and I don't really have the same appreciations because I started off like watching part 1, whereas all of y'all said 3 first.
Yeah, no, I started by watching part 1 because my cousins were watching it, and I was like, oh, I'll watch it, and I watched the first 3 episodes, and I was like, this is stupid, I don't like it. And then I went back over to their house while they were watching part 3, and I was like, well, this is good. I can watch this. And so I started by watching all of part 3. And then once I caught up with the end of part 5, I went back and watched 1 and 2 since I had finished everything that had been released.
But for somebody that enjoys horror, I would definitely recommend part 1 first.
Well, see, I enjoy horror, and I was okay with part 1. Like, I wasn't super enthused, but I was okay with it.
There was one thing that Austin and I had said earlier that actually benefits this part of the conversation. Part 1 of the anime is done very, very poorly. You have to go back and read the manga because it's 120 chapters.
I won't do that.
Down to 8 episodes.
Yeah, I'm not going to read the manga, but yeah, it's friggin' insane.
Yeah, that I would agree. Like they definitely shortchanged it. Then 120 chapters to 8 episodes. Yeah, no.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like, and I was just talking about how part 3 the manga was made in 1989-ish. The parts before that was like a couple years before that. So it really does start to show its age when you try to put into an anime adaptation that you want people to binge watch.
Mm-hmm.
And get those ratings up for it.
Yeah, and with you saying that, I do want to say one of the things that I do really respect JoJo's for, and I think should be appreciated about it, is that basically it's kind of in the same vein as the Beatles, where every anime or manga that you've read that you like was inspired by this. The same way that every band that I like, even though I'm not a big fan of the Beatles, they were inspired by the Beatles. And so, like, JoJo's is that same thing, where it's like, if you like manga and anime, you should go back and see what JoJo's did, because the medium wouldn't be the same without it.
It really wouldn't. And there have been so many series that have revolved around JoJo or been inspired by JoJo that exist that definitely would not exist now if JoJo hadn't been created. Like
what?
No Game No Life is one of them.
Okay, see, I like No Game No Life.
Dragon Ball.
Dragon Ball was inspired by JoJo's. Hunter. Yu Yu Hakusho.
Yeah.
Okay, see, now I really enjoyed Yu Yu Hakusho.
All these were inspired by JoJo's because of how it changed the format for manga and shonen as a whole. And the creators who made these stories took what they enjoyed and incorporated them into their own stories.
Yeah, it's a style you can't really copy either. You can get close, but there's something about JoJo's that you just can't encapsulate in your own works.
But let's see what else he's got to say, since we've got 7 minutes left of this video.
Oh God.
Bowed. And I should point out that Araki's writing in part 5 is absolute garbage. Oh shit, I made one of the main characters too strong. Oh, well, he's out of the story. He flew.
No, he didn't do that for that reason. He left Fugo out because Fugo originally was supposed to turn against the rest of the group, but then Araki was like, no, Fugo is very loyal to his friends, and this would contradict his character, so I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to have him go and do his own thing.
Fugo was the first member. Why would he not be loyal to Bucciardi? Now, I get the argument that, from the outside looking, it's the same argument of Araki forgot, that's why this power was stopped being used. It's the same argument. So, and I understand those arguments. Like, I get how you come to those conclusions. It's kind of like what we were talking about earlier with Dragon Ball, where from the outside looking in, you could see how it's like, oh, this should be the natural conclusion to this story arc. But then when you look at the actual history of the thing, you see how that's not what it is. But I get it. I do.
Anything y'all got to say, Farrell or Kaz?
Nope, let's go.
Back to his home planet. But that's an easy one, right? Now, everybody talks about that. Fugo gets kicked out of the story, and it's really stupid, but you're not supposed to talk about that because that's too easy. All right, well, how come the main villain is revealed?
Well, no, it's not that it's
into the
too
story?
easy. It's not that it's too easy. It's definitely something that can be argumented. I wonder who it is that he's interacted with that's made him think that it's like, oh, you can't talk about that. That's too easy of a complaint. And it's like, well, that's not what we're here as JoJo's fans saying. We're here like, it's okay for you to have your gripes, and it's okay for you to think that it's not good. You just got to give good argumentation. But apparently saying Fugo being written out is not good argumentation. And I would personally disagree with that. I could totally see your gripes with that. I personally have a little bit of a gripe with that. I think it would have been better if Fugo stuck around.
But Fugo was also one of the people that could have hindered the group based on his ability as well.
Yeah, possibly. That's all. That's all I wanted to say. Is I just don't understand who it is that his argumentation is coming from to make him make such a video with such poor argumentation. And I'll put it that way to be nice.
So now he's on about the boss being introduced.
Yeah. By the way,
Yeah.
Yes.
After Fugo left the group, he had orders to go after Bucciarati in the group, and he was able to pretty much make sure that his comrades were not fucked with.
Was that in the anime?
That was in the manga.
They didn't put that in the anime? They totally should have put that in the anime.
Well, it's kind of in the background.
I don't remember that being in the anime. I wish that was, because that actually, that reminds me of in Hunter. When I was watching Hunter, all of a sudden you get to the arc where it introduces Kite, and I was so upset because I was like, why are you adding a scene in? Because all of a sudden there's a flashback back to the island that Gon came from, where he met Kite, and I was like, well, this is stupid. And then I was watching Totally Not Mark talk about Hunter x Hunter, and he mentioned the fact that he actually, in the very original chapters of the manga, met Kite, and that scene was originally at the very beginning, but then in the newest version of the anime, they didn't put it in until you actually met Kite, and I felt like that was a flaw of the writer, and it turned out it was a flaw of the adaptation. So, when it comes to you telling me something like, yeah, there's actually a Fugo story arc that takes place where he's been ordered to be a hitman against the team, and he does stuff to hinder the other hitman. I'm like, that should have been in the anime, because that would just make his character so much better.
They were
What the
hitting the
crap?
climax at that point, so pretty much it's another one of those not enough time, get story done type things.
So it
which is
sounds to me like
unfortunate.
I don't agree with that.
this guy that's given his own little 20-minute review here is he's read through all the mangas, or
Yes.
just okay. So if he's read through all the mangas, and how the hell is he just arguing against the show or the entirety of JoJo?
Entirety.
All of it.
But he's specifically arguing the show at this particular point.
It
So
seems
I-
like it.
I,
Yeah.
I feel like it's really hard to mull over the fact that Fugo did not do something in the background when he left the group. Like
He
that-
just said Cosmonaut Variety Hour. I think it's just Cosmonaut, whatever. Cosmonaut just said before this part of this video that he reread part 5 because people complained that he must have read a bad translation. So he said, "No, I reread part 5."
yeah.
So
So if
He
he
is-
reread it, then he
Uh-huh.
knows Fugo's story arc.
or he's lying.
Okay, you see where where my mind
Yes.
was going with that.
Absolutely. I am with you.
Yeah.
Let's see what he's got to say about the boss being introduced real quick.
This liar?
The story,
Yeah.
because at this point, you don't have enough time to become invested in him. And that sucks because he has the most potential out of any character in this arc. JoJo
Hold on.
is still in action.
Hold on.
The boss is a looming threat throughout the series. Him being introduced when he is you actually getting to see his abilities outright and see what
And-
the group has to go against near the end.
Not only that, but if we take part 4, which he absolutely loved, and part 5, isn't the villain introduced about the same time? They're like, it's almost, it's not exactly, but it's basically the same amount of episodes into part 4 as into part 5 that we meet the villain. But he loved part 4, and there was apparently plenty enough time with the villain in part 4, but in part 5, oh no, it's too short. You're too far into it.
Not only that, but like not a lot of people don't. A lot of people just don't get that invested into the villain to begin with. Like, just, I don't know. Hold on.
Okay, yeah,
Words,
give some examples.
I'm trying to think of games
The
like
Bomber and Hunter x Hunter.
I mean, just about any show. Like a lot of times, there's not a whole lot of story build up or background to the villain, to the boss. You know, it's a
And
hey,
it's my
I'm here,
cut.
I'm big baddie. Wait, am I here?
We-
Okay. Hello.
You're here.
Okay. Anyways, like games, animes, there's usually not a whole lot of backstory or give to a villain, to a boss. It's almost always short. So why is this guy saying like, "Oh, I hate how short this is"? So, like that's just dumb. Like very rarely do you see a villain or a boss that gives a lot of backstory, unless they're going to be a continuous part. So, like a continuous part would be Frieza from Dragon Ball. How many times did they kill Frieza off before finally actually bringing Frieza into like a full part for Dragon Ball? Numerous times. They really didn't give that much to him.
yeah.
They
Like
kept killing it off quick.
they kill him twice, like pretty quick, and then all of a sudden in Super, he's back as like a main character. It's really weird. Yeah, you're right.
So to me to complain like, oh, there's not enough time to invest into this person, it's like a lot of people don't invest into a boss or a villain.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to bring it.
So
I'd like to bring this up in a game like Bloodborne. You know, whenever you kill Gascoigne, you could argue, you know, it's too short. You don't really understand what's going on. You just know, girl goes like, "Could you find my daddy?" And you kill said daddy. You know, but then when you actually read the lore, the little parts sprinkled out in the pages of things left behind, you find out it's a very, very tragic story that led up to this pitiful antagonist. Not necessarily a villain, but an antagonist that has simply lost his mind. You know, stuff like that. So
Yeah, and
Like,
I
heartbreaking.
said this before earlier. A protagonist can be a hero or a villain. It just depends on the perspective.
oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
I mean it's the same
Antagonist,
argument with
villain,
good
or-
people. It's all perspective.
antagonist and perspective, or antagonist and villain are not to be confused with one another.
Well, that's actually what I like about part 1 of JoJo's the most, is how much time we spend with Dio, like really learning and understanding who he is as a person to become the villain. You know, and it's not that Like it could be easily argued that part 1 Dio is the protagonist, in at least the first few episodes.
Yeah, he has a what is it called? A reverse hero's journey, or anti hero's journey, or
exactly.
whatever.
A reverse hero's journey, and from my understanding, the way the 120 chapters are structured, it's at 110 or not 110. It's at half. I'm not going to do math right now. Half are spent with Dio, and then the other half is spent with Jonathan. So it's like we get equal time with both the villain and the hero. So it's easy to argue that the protagonist is both.
Oh yeah, by the way, I do need to elaborate on something a bit. So the part when I was making the argument about Fugo, it was a light novel adaptation written by someone else, not by Araki. So that's why it's actually canon or not. But based on Fugo's character, I'd say that's definitely a more likely thing. And also, the illustrations were actually provided by Araki, so that means he had a hand in it, which means it probably has some relevance to it.
I mean, in defense of it being relevant, Netflix just bought the rights to a one-off for Rohan.
Yeah, I did see that. That was actually a pretty good one.
Is it good? I haven't watched it yet because I didn't feel like it was going to be JoJo's.
The Rohan stories are really good.
Yeah, so it's definitely not JoJo's. It's definitely not Stands or whatever. It's more like a reporter thriller type thing. You just have to watch it.
It follows up on what part 4 is. It's a mystery thriller paranormal series.
Okay, so say I'm in the middle of part 5 and I've never watched JoJo's before. Should I stop and watch Rohan, or should I finish part 5 and then watch Rohan?
Just finish watching part 5, then watch Rohan. Rohan could be watched as a standalone by itself, even if you've never watched a single JoJo's.
For real, it's that disconnected.
It really does feel that disconnected. Yes, like if you watch, if you watch that adaptation with Rohan, it does not relate very much to the JoJo storyline at all that you could really understand.
Okay, fair enough. Because I'm in the middle of watching through JoJo's with someone who's never watched it. And we were in the middle of part 4 when all of a sudden that Rohan thing came out, and he was like, "Oh, can we watch this?" And I was like, "Let's finish JoJo's first."
The good thing is,
but he really wants to watch it, so I that's why I asked. So yeah, we should just finish JoJo's then watch it.
Yeah, the good bad thing is it's only 4 episodes long, so
yeah, 4 or 6,
you won't get
something like that. It's not very long.
If you do watch it right away, if you want to take a break from part 5 and watch it, you won't feel like you took too much of a break from part 5 to watch.
Okay.
That.
Yeah.
I would, because we only get to watch a couple episodes every month or so. So I would definitely feel like we're taking a break.
I'm still waiting for Dead Man's Questions to be animated.
And I'm still waiting for part 6. But we should watch the rest of this. Yeah, we should watch the rest of this video. I want to get this over with. This terrible argumentation.
Series. So I think it's really important to try to flesh out the villain. You know why Dio is the best villain in JoJo's? Because you get the most time devoted to fleshing him out. Also, why does Araki keep doing fake out deaths?
I agree.
When did we...
What? I agreed with him on Dio. I definitely think that's the reason Dio is so outstanding. Actually, it's not even that. You can easily argue that the reason Dio's outstanding is because of how much time you spent with him. I think the reason Dio's outstanding is because of how evil he is. Because what other show do you watch where you meet a character who moves into a house, kills the protagonist's dog by burning them in a fire pit, then essentially rapes. It's not quite rape, but essentially rapes the protagonist's girlfriend or potential girlfriend, and then goes on to murder their dad. And then it just goes on from there. But what other villain in any show is that elaborate? And I think that's the reason. Not just because we spent the most time with him. It's because he does the most vile, heinous things imaginable, and so we love to hate him. And that's the thing that whenever I even showed a friend who'd never seen it, he watched those first few episodes where all of a sudden Dio starts being evil, and he was like, "This is amazing. I've never hated a person so much. I understand why you like this show."
Have they never watched Game of Thrones and seen Joffrey?
I would like to show you. Personally, I would like to show you mine from Shield Hero.
F Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones sucks. Dude, Game of
Shield
Thrones
Hero.
sucks. Don't even bring that up.
No,
Mine-
Shield Hero, yeah, I know exactly. I already know exactly where you two are going.
My Hero Academia, haven't watched
Shield
it.
Hero. Shield Hero.
Shield Hero?
Hero.
Never heard of it.
Oh, dude.
Okay.
It's
If
actually
you
really
want-
good. Watch
Okay, so Austin, watch the first episode of Rising of the Shield Hero, and you tell me that you weren't filled with rage at the sight of one character. And yeah, we'll have a talk about that later.
Yeah.
Just
All right.
watch the first episode. Just watch the first episode.
I'm not going to promise anything, but I'll watch it sometime.
If you have to ask
Also-
yourself, does suffering count as plot? Then yes, most certainly, definitely with this show.
Also, Austin.
Suffering definitely
forget-
counts as plot.
We did forget
What's
a
that
fake out
Sirat?
death. We did
Oh,
forget
did
a fake
we?
out death. Mista's fake out death.
Mhm.
Was it a fake out death or was it playing dead?
It was a fake out.
Okay, it's been a while since I've seen part 5. I'm in the middle of rewatching it. I haven't made it to this train part that we're on. Oh,
Spoiler
right.
alert.
The ice cubes. Well, I've watched it once. I'm watching it a second time. Yeah, you're talking about the whole ice cube thing where it was faking out the re-aging of people or hyper aging of people.
Mista got shot in the head, and
Oh, I
one of
don't
the,
remember that. I don't
one of
remember
the
that
Sex
at all.
Pistols, one of the Sex Pistols kept the bullet from actually impacting into his
Beautiful.
skull.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, that's a fake out. I'll consider that. Yeah, that's a fake out. Beautiful. I love it. It's pre-established because of how awesome Sex Pistols is. Sex Pistols is definitely the most down-to-earth version of Whole Horse. Because Whole Horse was too OP when it came to his stand, and then Sex Pistols is definitely the balanced version of what Whole Horse was doing.
By the
Because
way,
yeah, go ahead.
in the fighting game, Whole Horse is super broken. Just saying.
Yeah, I would assume. Because, the thing is, I could never get behind Whole Horse as a protagonist. And my main reason would be just because it's well, this power is broken. But, all of a sudden, Rocky's like, hey, well, how about Sex Pistols? I'm like, that's very fair. You have to reload your gun. You're limited to the 6 shots until you reload, and then all you have is that you can redirect physical bullets. So if someone can still deflect the bullets with their stand, it's nothing. That's a super. That's probably my favorite character. I forget his name, honestly, because I'm not that big of a JoJo's fan. But Sex Pistols is probably my favorite member of Part 5.
Yeah, that's Mista.
Yeah, Mista. Yeah, it's probably my favorite person in all of Part 5 is Mista. Such a good stand.
So let's see what he says about this fake out.
Oh, right, because hold on.
This
Hold on. Yeah, what I was gonna say is this was set up way earlier than the two of you joined, where he said this show is full of way too many fake out deaths.
So far,
and
we're
he-
at 3.
And he said that back in part 2, and we calculated, because I was assuming he might have meant Joseph dying when he fell from a meteorite from outer space, and then there was a funeral. So that might be one fake out. Then Joseph dying, and then getting a blood transfusion and coming back. What was the third one I said?
Abdul.
Abdul dying once, but coming back and dying a second time. So those are the 3 that we came up with. And then he just came out with Mista, which, as Cyrek was saying, is correct. So there's 4. So there's 4 fake outs. And all of JoJo's, we've thought of 4. Mr. JoJo's expert up there. You know any more than the 4?
So I wouldn't say that the Part 2 meteor thing counted as a fake out death. That was more like no one had any contact with him, so no one knew he was actually still alive type thing.
I'm still gonna count it.
Okay.
Thinking
Well, then
from
there's also Part 3 where
the reason I'm counting it is because of Cosmonaut. I'm thinking of it from his perspective.
So for Part 3, there's also the part where Jotaro literally stops his own heart. That's definitely a fake out.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, okay. So there's
But
5.
but we know what he's doing and why he's doing it. Fake out deaths are deaths that we assume are
Wait,
actually there.
Cyrac, wait. No. The way that it's portrayed is first that Dio says he's dead, and then we go over to his body, and he's checking him, and there's no pulse. Then, in a following scene, we see that he has his heart grabbed with his stand, and he starts pumping it again.
Yeah,
I think that crap. I can't see your name very well. Hold on.
Feral.
Do you prefer Kaz? Do you prefer Kaz or Yule? Because I know you're casual. You're definitely casual.
Just call.
But do you prefer Kaz? All right,
Just
Kaz.
call him
I
a
think,
dirty P.
Or
I think Kaz. Dude,
yeah,
shut
dirty
up.
P. You know, dirty P.
Shut up.
I like that.
Shut up. I don't. No. You know what I think of you is you're the random commenter that I suggested to be brought on the show, so I have no obligation to respond to any of your comments because, as far as I'm aware, you're just a guy writing notes in a chat room. Okay, so shut your mouth and respect.
You invited him,
and respect me as the only reason you have a voice here. Okay, so
you invited
People have a good sense of humor. Otherwise, people may take that as serious.
What's hilarious is that me, Cyric, and Kaz, all three of us have plenty of history together. To me, you're the outside, Austin, not them, and not me.
Yeah, no, fair enough, but I'm the only reason you're here. I'm still the only reason you're here. Okay, so Kaz, you make
Lindsay brought him.
So okay, look, my point was that Kaz makes a solid point. So that's what, 5? That's 5 deaths.
Yeah, that's 5.
That are fake out. 5 fake out deaths. Is there any more than that before Cosmonaut the liar attempts to give us more? It's just the 5, right?
I can't think of any more now.
Yeah.
Not,
All right,
not from the parts that he's mentioned.
Yeah, well, let's see if he knows of any more. Maybe he starts bringing the manga into it out of nowhere, since he says he reads it, but he's only showed us the anime.
Well, they usually show the anime specifically because it's easier to show than just single panels or single pages.
I totally get that. But the YouTuber that I wanted to shout out does not do that, which is Mr. Fusion. And I sent you in the chat. I sent you a link to his page, and he's the dude that does like the history of Dragon Ball, of Batman the animated series, and of Super Saiyan versus Power Rangers. Super great YouTube channel. Definitely should check him out. I sent you a link in the chat, and if you could link it in the description, I would really appreciate it, because I definitely want to send more people his way, because he's amazing.
I will.
Yeah, that'd just be freaking great. But okay, so Mr. Fusion also does not show pictures of anime. He only shows pictures of the panels when it comes to him talking about the manga. And so far, Cosmonaut's been like, I'm just talking about the manga, but he's only showed the anime. So just throwing that out there.
All right, let's see what he says here.
When did we start thinking this is acceptable? How many times does Mista die in part 5? Why does Polnareff turn into a turtle? This is where the wacky...
Oh no, come on. Polnareff turning into a turtle? You're going to bring that in as a fake out death?
I mean, it kind of was.
Yeah,
but at the
okay.
same time, we also knew that his body had been changed because everybody else has had.
Okay, fake out death, I'm not going to argue. It was just weird to bring it up to be like, well, why does Polnareff turn into a turtle? It's explained.
It's called Bizarre Adventure.
Thank you. That's literally that's something I've been trying to argue since the beginning of this thing. No, it was what, wasn't it? Yeah, it was when he started talking about part 4. Cosmonaut was like, this is the first time it felt like they were on a bizarre adventure, and I was like, excuse me? Have you seen the first few parts? They're definitely on a bizarre adventure. But okay, I'll give it to him. That's the 6th fake out. So there's 6 fake outs in 5 parts. So if you want to average,
like 10 years.
Yeah, so if you want to average that out, that's a 1.2
Roughly.
1.2 fake outs an arc, 1.2, something like that, roughly 1.23 or 1.17, something like that. Like it's really not much. There's really not been that many fake outs. I think Naruto might have had more fake outs.
Probably, honestly.
Wasn't there that one?
Huh?
It's
I was just gonna say, wasn't there that one time in Naruto where Shikamaru literally just pretended to be dead so he didn't have to do anything?
Well, hold on. I established earlier that I wouldn't count someone faking dead as a fake out.
Okay, that's fair. Next.
But I don't know if Cosmonaut feels that way. So hopefully in this little section we're in, he'll actually list out, every fake out death. So just so that we can see what his criteria of a fake out death is. Because so far, yeah, exactly. Because so far all we know is that Mista and Polynarif, those are the only two fake out deaths he's named.
You sound like you could use some water.
JoJo's stops being cute for me.
Oh,
It
you
is
might be
no
right.
longer a feature. It is now a bug. And this is specific to the manga, but holy shit, Araki's art takes a nosedive here. The original manga is nearly impossible to decipher in most fights. I get that JoJo's has some high concept shit, but I seriously cannot tell what the fuck I'm supposed to be looking at half the time. And everyone says that part 5 is cool because of the fights.
I'm sorry, hold on.
Fight.
He literally, all right, if you back it up just a few seconds, he talks about how he doesn't know how to understand what he's looking at. So he openly admits that when he's reading the mangas, he doesn't know what the fuck he's reading.
Yeah,
So you never understood it.
you're right.
So him trying to go off on, what was that, part 5 he was trying to go off on? Saying
Yes.
he read it twice. But people were saying, well, you probably had a bad translation. He basically just said he doesn't know what the fuck he's looking at most of the time.
But thing is, the art in part 5 doesn't take a nosedive. It just gets more detailed. Sometimes there can be bad bad scans, because scanners usually mess up the paneling and the art. So he could have a bad scan of it, but then again, this was from last year, so he may have actually gotten one of the more decent scans that are out there, and it just made the panels look weird still.
Just gonna say, this is one of the most crisp panels I've ever seen on a digital computer.
I was about to say, is like, I'm looking at this panel and it looks pretty fucking clean. But at the same time, I can understand the concept of more not always being better. Sometimes less is more and more is less.
Well, this is also two-page. This is a two-page spread.
Yeah.
So everything that's on the right side is not on the same page as everything that's on the left side.
Still looks good though.
Yeah. Like, I can see details in this pretty easily.
And everyone says that
Why do I keep on doing that?
part 5 is cool because of the fights. The fights. But Marcus, the fights are so cool. Why do I care about the fights if I don't care about the story or the characters that are in the fights? And to top all of it off, part 5 is so goddamn long. Part 5 is based.
Part 5 is one of the. Part 5 itself is one of the. What's it called? Shortest parts, actually.
Yeah, and I would like to say also that my reasoning to like part 5 has nothing to do with the fights. It has to do with the characters. So like I guess I'm just the anti-Cosmonaut. That's who I am. I, the Bear Thing Show, am the anti-Cosmonaut, where I like the characters and not the fights.
Part 5 is way more short than part 4 and part 3, and everyone here knows it.
Part 5 took place in a week compared to the others.
Kaz, can you say that again? I kind of misheard you.
I said part 5 is significantly shorter than part 4 and part 3.
Yeah, okay, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Part 3, I think, has a chapter count of 238. Part 4 has a chapter count of 202, and Part 5 has a chapter count of 170.
Oh, I thought it was like 150. I don't know. It's been a while. But yeah.
Well, okay, so
Shorter.
part 5 is longer than part 4. Because remember, we're talking about the manga, not the anime. And he's reread the manga several times in order to disprove the haters that it's just bad.
I think the only reason why he thinks part 5 is longer than everything else is because he didn't understand what the hell he was reading.
I mean, he literally just said it.
Yeah.
Like a few seconds ago, he was like, I don't even know what these panels are. Oh, jeez.
I've read some bad paneling, and JoJo's doesn't have it. JoJo's paneling is probably some of the best paneling that I've seen in manga, and it only gets better as the story goes on, and Araki becomes more of a master of his craft.
Shit, you're gonna have to get me to start rereading every single manga again. Not that I'm gonna complain or anything.
No, you don't have to do that. Hey, by the way, I've moved my mic, and has that helped my voice not be super obnoxiously loud?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, because I know I like to yell. Like even when I'm talking basically. Like right now, I'm talking basically, and it's basically yelling. So I've moved my mic away so that it doesn't sound like I'm yelling.
Basically.
So it sounds good. It's basically it sounds good.
Just have it 6 to 12 inches away from your face, and you should be fine.
Okay, good. So basically, it's all right.
Basically.
All right, good. Basically, all right, good.
All right, let's see.
I'm ready to keep going. Dude, I'm just ready for this to be over because holy crap, Cosmonaut makes the worst arguments ever.
Just part 3 again, except you don't get a cool final battle. You get some Machina ass pull bullshit, which
I agree with that.
I had that, but
So
no, we don't.
It's not a Deus Ex Machina. It's already been explained whenever it was shown with Silver Chariot Requiem. Because the way that the Scarab stand arrow works is that it transforms your stand into what you need at that moment. Polnareff was going to die, and so he needed to have his body switched, but it made everybody's body switch. So you didn't know who was who until they started expressing themselves. And then
I have to disagree with you entirely. I have to disagree, entirely. Okay, so first off, Polnareff's body switching, from my understanding, was because of the boss. The boss started body switching people. Polnareff happened to switch bodies. He switched bodies with a turtle. Secondly, the Golden Wind Requiem is totally a Deus Ex Machina to finish off the series with no real stakes. And it's stupid, and I hate it.
So Golden Wind Requiem, Giorno needed a way of countering the boss's stand. In order to do that, he had to make it to where the effects of the stand were null. So he would constantly end up in a perpetual death state over and over again, but never actually dying.
I still think it's stupid.
I liked it.
That's fine. I'm saying very subjectively. Very subjectively, I think the ending of part 5 is dumb.
Oh boy. I cannot wait for part 6 to be animated.
Dude, me neither. Yeah, me neither.
All right, let's go.
I still love JoJo's. I just think that the end of part 5 is just dumb. It's just a dumb ending. It's totally a well, let's finish it like this. Because we established that if you stab someone who has a stand with the arrow, they get an extra power. We established that in part 4.
Sort of.
Well, yeah. In part 5, we established that if you don't have a stand, and well, no, actually, that was in part 4 as well. If you get stabbed with an arrow and you can't withstand having a stand, then you die. And then in part 4, we also established if you already have a stand, you can get stabbed with the arrow and then gain a new power. And then all of a sudden in part 5, they're like, oh, by the way, if your stand gets stabbed, you get another you get a requiem power, and that's even
Part 5 is the only part
stronger.
that has that.
Yeah, I know, and it's dumb, and I hate it.
There's still a chance you could die if you get stabbed again.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. I don't remember them really touching
It was
upon
explained
that.
in part 5, not part 4.
Yeah, I'm saying in part 5, I don't remember it being established that if my stand gets stabbed, I could die. But the thing is, they do establish that you can get a requiem, hence the fact that Polynarif's stand all of a sudden it becomes a requiem, and then starts wandering off,
Except
and they
at
have that
point, he had
whole
no
arc.
control over
And,
his stand.
right. But then Giorno Giovanni, his stand gets stabbed, and he gets Golden Wind, Experience, Requiem, and just defeats the boss in like this Deus Ex Machina, like the final fight doesn't even matter. And then there's an entire extra episode that takes place way before the whole arc even started, and I hated all of it. I thought it was so stupid.
You
It was
hated
so-
Rolling Stones?
Yeah, no,
I
last
love that band.
dude, they're pretty good. But I'm still, and maybe on my second watch through I'll feel different, but watching it once, I still feel like the end of part 5, the last like 2 episodes are dumb, and I hate them, and I think it's stupid. But I'm really excited for part 6 because I still love JoJo's, but I just thought the end of part 5 was really lame. And it's very subjective. It's subjective. I don't have an objective reason for it. It's subjective.
All right. As long as we establish that.
That's all. I just wanted to say that I hated it, and I think I'm on Cosmonaut's side. Finally.
For once.
I liked it there, so it's different. I don't know. I just think that Jotaro teaching himself how to stop time through sheer force of will is much cooler than
It is.
just
It is cool.
getting a new superpower because the story needs you to beat the bad guy.
No, I agree with Cosmonaut.
Personal circumstances
That's all.
and how I went about
What? What, Farrell?
Oh no, nothing.
enjoying this series are different than other people's. A lot of people just got to watch the anime where a lot of the visual clutter is cleared up and a lot of the fat is trimmed. But the anime did not exist when I read it, and I am not about to go back and watch like fucking 40 episodes of an anime that I know I don't like. And yeah,
But if you don't watch it and it's completely different from the manga itself, then how do you know you're not going to like it? It could change people's minds, like it did a lot of other people that didn't like Part 5 whenever it came out, especially over here in the West.
Also,
It is. Well, if somebody else has something to say, go ahead and say it. Otherwise, I'll say mine.
Oh, Giorno did have to take time to learn his powers. He, if anything at all, out of the entire group, he was the one least familiar with his powers about Golden Experience. And then whenever he actually did start finding out he can't just make living things from, not living subjects, but he could also absorb them into himself to replace body parts or things like that. Then
Yeah, which I thought was really cool.
He definitely learned a lot about his own stand there.
Yeah.
Necromancer.
Kind of, like, in a way.
An anime
mean-
object answer.
There's a character that
Mancer.
definitely
Yeah,
died.
He's an object mancer. But okay, in Cosmonaut's defense, I agree. If I finished reading a manga and then someone said you should go back even though you don't like it and watch the anime, I would say no. I already read the manga.
Hey, Kaz, the cops are coming for you.
It wasn't me. It was
Oh
totally
no,
Sarah.
dude, no, that's just my ride. That's my ride.
Okay, so is Tyrick riding shotgun with you there, or what's going on?
Maybe.
Okay, hey, they're both T's. Let's vote them off.
All right,
Dang it.
but so I totally agree with him because like seriously, if I read through a manga and then someone said, well, you watch the anime, it'll be better, I'd be like, no, I don't believe you, because usually the manga is better than the anime, and I wouldn't go back and watch it after reading the story. I'm just saying, I wouldn't do it. So I'm with Cosmonaut on this point.
Even
Now
if
that we're
even if they changed it to where it is more streamlined and the fat is cut.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We're 15 minutes into this video, and I'm starting to agree with Cosmonaut. I can't believe I'd say it, because before this point, he keeps making terrible, terrible points.
Let's see if you agree with him anymore. That's real.
Yeah, I probably won't. But I'm just saying, on this exact point, I agree.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't be as mad or exhausted with the series if I hadn't tried to binge it in 2 months years ago. But at that point, JoJo's just
That might be a
wasn't
good
fun
point.
for me anymore. I was not having a good time. But I still fucking finished part 5 because I told myself I would. And I heard part 6 was interesting. And I heard that Jolene was cool and, a unique JoJo for once. But it just wasn't enough.
For once?
For once? Every
once.
JoJo is unique.
Definitely.
Jolene, though, is my favorite JoJo. She has some of the best character development within the JoJo's story.
I definitely can't wait for part 6. But to say Jolene is the first unique one for once is pretty extreme of a stance, because each of the JoJo's is definitely okay. The similarities, I would say, are that Josuke, right? Part 4. So part 4's JoJo is a lot more like Joseph, and then part 5's JoJo is a lot more like Jonathan. I'll definitely give you that. That it's like those two are kind of similar to the other two. But other than that, no, they're all unique. And when it comes to powers, they're all unique.
Hold on, if you're talking about like how they're similar, weren't all of you actually saying earlier that all of them had some sort of delinquent?
Yeah, they had a
Right.
delinquent.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So
They're
it's a lot
delinquent.
similar
I
there,
was thinking that. But they did have their own personal things that put them off from each other. So let me just try to synopsis it real quick. Part 1, proudly gentleman. Part 2, jokester delinquent. Part 3, cool delinquent. Part 4,
Yeah.
relatable teenager. Relatable to teenager.
Yeah.
Teenager.
Yeah.
And then part 5, guy in a bad situation trying to take over the mafia. Also,
And then part 6, a woman who is down on her luck and gets framed for something that she didn't do and is sent to prison.
So maybe that's it. Maybe he is saying that Jolene is the only unique because it's a chick instead of a guy this time.
Probably.
I don't know.
I
That's
don't know.
probably his reasoning.
I mean, honestly, like most of the stuff that I'm hearing from this guy, like it sounds very super simple-minded thinking. So I'm wondering if that's the case here.
Well, we're about to see since he's getting into part 6 now. So we'll see how he thinks of Jolene.
Let's freaking finish this off so I can go to bed. Come on now.
I think the final nail in the coffin was me forcing myself to read part 6 when I was genuinely exhausted with the series. The problem I have with JoJo's is that I love part 4 too much. I love it so much that I hate all the following parts for not being as good. And yes, part 6 is not as bad as part 5, but it's still not as good as part 4. So I really didn't care. I didn't like a lot of the characters. I didn't really care about the story. There were still a lot of inconsistencies. But I finished part 6 out of pure obligation to myself, even though nobody told me to. And honestly, nowadays, I don't remember anything in part 6. I read the whole thing, and I can't tell you one thing that happens in it. By this point, I was so empty and just so very done with JoJo's.
So he's going to say that there's inconsistencies and such in the story, but not going to say what those inconsistencies are and just chalking it down to, oh, I forgot the entire story.
I think he pretty much chalked it up to he gave up at part 6.
Yeah, well, I mean, come on, Cosmonaut. There's no point in actually developing an argument, as we've seen throughout this whole 20-minute video. It's just that I feel this way, and then a few minutes later, I feel this way. That contradicts the way I felt earlier. So now that I'm here, why develop an argument? you've watched this much of my video, you must be okay with me not developing an argument. Come on. Otherwise, you would have stopped watching like 3 minutes in, right? That's the whole thought process.
But my thing is, if you're going to say there's inconsistencies in the story, please give examples to the inconsistencies in the story and not just chalk it down to, oh, I forgot everything that happened in the story because I read it so long ago.
So I just want to bring up another point. He says that Part 6 has the first unique character, but the story apparently was so blah that he doesn't remember anything? How can he say that it had the most unique character?
Yeah, because part 4 was the best part. Part 4 was the only good part in the whole thing, so why even remember anything that happened after that, even though I know for a fact it's terrible?
Like, if Part 6 had the first unique character to him, you would think he would actually invest it into remembering the story.
Exactly. And
what?
This just
remember things I like? What?
His argument has just fallen flat again.
I would say it hit a brick wall like a swan.
Is where I tapped out. But for years, I told myself that maybe under the right circumstances, I might pick it up again. Because everybody swears on their mama that Part 7 is godlike. But then something unexpected happened. JoJo's got really popular. Back when I read JoJo's, I was lucky to find a single Dio cosplayer at a convention. And forget finding any physical merchandise in the States. The anime was just finishing Part 2, and it was still kind of niche. But as
is he about to be a contrarian? I feel like he's about to be a contrarian.
It's huge now. And the fans are really fucking annoying. You see them everywhere pushing the series on people like it's their fucking Bible. Sometimes I see some random jerk off on the internet saying that they don't like anime, and without fail, there's always at least one weirdo who says, hey, I know you don't like anime, but you should really watch JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And I'm like, what the fuck? Why would you recommend that as someone's first show? And I will...
Because...
Yeah. Go ahead.
So, sometimes people can recommend JoJo's Bizarre Adventure as the first show because it is the most outlandish of the shonen genre. However, there are some people that definitely shouldn't watch it as their first show and should be eased into it.
It is heavily it depends situation.
I honestly wouldn't recommend JoJo's as anyone's first anime. Like, I started off on different shows. Like, I started off on Cowboy Bebop, Trigun, freaking what else was there?
Outlaw Star.
Outlaw Star, thank you. That was the one I was trying to think of. You know, I started off on ones like that. Hell, Wolf's Rain was one of the ones I started off on. Like, so it is. Everyone's gonna have their different tastes. Like, if you can figure out someone's like typical TV taste, and you can usually figure out a good anime for them to start on. So I can kind of agree with Cosmo dipshit here, saying that, you know, recommending this as someone's first anime probably not the best route.
Mm-hmm.
But I can also understand where he's coming from with the, like, people kept hyping this up to me, and I didn't enjoy it that much.
I will agree, though. I do hate other JoJo's fans, like the heavy, super hardcore. You have to watch it. You have to watch it. You have to watch it. Ones, you know.
Yeah.
The only time I would recommend JoJo's as somebody's first anime is if they're into like really niche stuff that is already outlandish in itself.
Like what?
B movies. Essentially, like Blood Glacier is a good one. Witch House and other movies in the B genre films.
Okay. If we were talking about animes, though, like what other animes would you say would be niche?
Steins Gate, Higurashi.
I actually like Steins Gate.
Steins Gate is amazing. I love it.
Steins Gate is one of the best written stories based on a visual novel, actually.
Yeah.
But for a first anime, usually I would go with Cowboy Bebop or
That's a good one.
Trigun.
Trigun.
Both of those are good. Both of those are really great starters.
Mm-hmm.
Probably I
Full
wouldn't
Metal
go with
Alchemist
another
Brotherhood.
Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. No, Full Metal Alchemist, then Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, because Brotherhood does the bad adaptation of.
No,
No.
skip.
Hold on.
Just go to Brotherhood. Just go to Brotherhood.
No, there's a
Yeah,
reason.
I've
There's a
watched
reason
both,
that you
and I
start.
would honestly say Brotherhood.
My reasoning for watching at least the first 7 episodes of the first Full Metal Alchemist series
Okay.
is because they rush through the first 3 episodes of Brotherhood, and they expect you to already know these characters when you don't.
That's fine. I mean,
Yeah,
I watched.
that I can understand. I thought you were
I
saying
watched
If you're talking
35.
about the primer, then yeah.
Yeah.
I watched 35 episodes of Full Metal Alchemist, and I thought it was terrible, and Brotherhood was so much better. So that's all I'm saying.
But
I also
the
really
reason
like Full Metal Panic.
Full Metal Panic is good. Another good first anime would probably be not One Piece. It's still going. and I
Full
don't
Metal
think a lot of
Panic
people-
is not a good first anime.
No.
Just
No.
saying.
No, Full Metal Panic is not. Probably Agami Brilliant Park.
That's a good one.
Ooh,
That's a funny one.
Maybe the Fate series.
Oh
Uh,
God,
no.
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 No. Do not.
Reaction.
Please,
I've been
God,
watching
no.
anime for a while, and I couldn't get into Fate. So no, I would also agree. No, it's not. Because I've been watching anime for a while. I've watched over 600 anime, and I would say Fate is not a good start.
Oh, I'm sorry. That
Let
I
me
did that for the reaction. That was fantastic.
let me put it this way. I think JoJo's fans are annoying. I think Fate fans are intolerable. All right. Do not just everyone has an opinion, and it's all kinds of scuff.
I enjoy Fate. I do. However, I would not recommend it to people that are not well established in their anime repertoire.
Yeah.
Like, they need to understand all the different types of anime that there are, because Fate falls into each category because there are so many different versions of Fate that are different timelines or continuations of the same series or what have you. There's so many branching paths to
It is
Fate.
hard. Like chronologically, it is very tough to keep up with. Yeah.
Would you?
If you want, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, would you recommend the anime about the guy who quits his business job to live under the bridge? Would you recommend
Under
that
the
as yeah? Would you recommend that as a starter?
I
There's
haven't
like-
watched that
there's like-
fully, so I don't know yet.
There's like 2 series to it. It's pretty good.
I might
I
have
have-
to watch that. I haven't seen it yet.
I have to look into that one. I don't recall that just based off of what it's about.
Okay, I was kind of recommending it as a joke because it's pretty niche. It's very niche.
Yeah,
Another one I definitely would not recommend as a first because it's a dark satire would be Welcome to the NHK.
that one, yeah. If you are not ready for the implement, it messes with you a bit. It gets to you.
You need to understand anime in order to get it and the culture that anime brings.
So there is
Okay.
one I can think of that actually probably wouldn't be too bad of a starter.
Which would
Knights and Magic.
that one's good. That
I
one's a
think
good
I've seen that
start.
one.
Like I think that would be a great opener for anyone trying to get into it because it can open up 2 worlds for the animes. You can open up the more fantasy adventure types, and it could also go into the sci-fi mech types. So
Well, why not just start with Beat Angel Escalate?
What's
Yeah.
Beat Angel Escalate? I don't know that one.
Oh, it's about a group of superheroes that fight demons.
I also have not seen this.
It's,
I feel like
it's
this
pretty
is a trap. I feel like
it's
this is a
pretty-
trap.
it's pretty standard.
I feel like
Queensblade,
Austin is a T.
No,
Queensblade, it's pretty standard.
oh wait,
No.
no. I know exactly what everyone's first anime should be.
Don't
Yeah.
do it. Don't do it. I know what you're thinking.
What?
does it start with
what-
Goku? No.
Shut the fuck up.
what is it? What should everybody's first anime be?
Oh, it got mentioned.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, can we finish out what's going on with this pig in a
Yeah.
toilet? Because I would definitely like to go to bed.
We never heard.
Admit,
No, Farrell.
This pushed me away from the series a lot more. Hey, read part 7, Marky. I know you don't like JoJo's, but you gotta read part 7. Man, leave me alone, alright? I don't want it anymore. At this point, I feel like my taste in shonen is done developing. Since quitting JoJo's, I've read a lot of shonen that I actually like a lot more than the good stuff that I enjoyed in JoJo's. And I don't think you can compare every shonen.
Hold on. He said that he didn't like part 5 because of how long it was, and then shows a picture of One Piece as part of his shonen repertoire.
Yes, he does, but it doesn't matter. He already said that he likes one-note characters as long as they're Luffy and Goku, but he doesn't like the one-note characters of JoJo's.
Oh my god.
By one note, hold on. By one note, I mean static.
Yeah.
He doesn't like the static characters of JoJo's, but he likes the static characters of One Piece and Dragon Ball. Those are fine. Those are good. They're good anime.
Into each other, but since quitting JoJo's, I've read One Piece, a story that actually made me cry.
Oh,
jeez. Media rarely makes me cry.
Oh, jeez.
Anime came out and it recontextualized what shonen.
Yeah, I mean, Hunter's good.
I'm back.
But I'm sorry. There was something that was mentioned, like him talking about his like fans of Part 7, talking about like, you gotta watch it, or you gotta read it, you gotta watch it, or you gotta read it, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And like, and all I could think of is One Piece fans saying, "No, you got to keep watching the series; it gets better."
Right.
Episode 900 and whatever.
Yeah.
And it still sucks.
Yeah, but no, he loves it. He loves it. It made him cry. It made him cry, so it's good because he never cries.
One Piece has held you hostage for over 20 years.
Yeah, so it's good.
I love the series.
Subjectively, it's way better, and it made me cry. So why would I ever watch these objectively awful anime?
Hold on. One Piece.
You are going to love it. I am. It's so good.
Yeah, that's the argument, and even Cosmonaut's making that argument, dude. It made me cry, and I never cry. Oh, jeez. Can we just finish this crap? We're so close. I see that bar.
We're in a minute and a half. It may be like the last 30 seconds may just be Patreon supporters.
No, okay, yeah. Okay, I thought you were going to say the last minute might even be better, and I was like, there's no way. It's just getting worse.
That would be the best part. If the last 30 seconds are Patreon, that's the best part.
Yeah, exactly. Let's get to the ad.
I don't know. That's just my personal taste. I'm not saying that you're a dummy for liking JoJo's. I'm just telling you why I don't like it. If you like it, that's great. It's not a bad series. Just don't be surprised that some people don't like it. It's not a perfect series. And yeah, I think a lot of the wacky inconsistencies are part of the charm. But that charm just doesn't work on everybody. For me, JoJo's was like a bad ex. There was excitement in the beginning of the relationship, and there was a period of time where I thought I was in love, but things just grew sour for me, and I started to notice some traits that I did not like so much. So am I...
What were you going to say, Farrell?
I'm sorry, like he said, like he was trying to compare JoJo to like a bad ex. And
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, like you've ever had a girlfriend.
Oh, dude, no, come on. Cosmonaut's I don't know if you've seen a picture of him. He showed a picture of him at the beginning of the stream. He's actually a fairly attractive young man. He's not ugly.
He's got over 1 million subscribers on YouTube, so
okay, look.
So he has no social life and he's not gotten a girlfriend. You're right.
Fangirls, like getting laid from fangirls, is not the same as actually having a girlfriend. We all know
this. Fair point. So the one thing though about this last argumentation that we've heard that I just want to point out that I don't have to go into depth because anybody who takes the time to watch through the freaking 3 hours that we've been covering this, I won't have to go through it, but basically what I'm trying to say is to end it by saying, oh, it's cool if you like it. I just don't like it. It's really disingenuous for the argument that's been established so far. It's very much like backpedaling to be like, oh, you shouldn't be mad at me because I'm saying it's okay if you like it, even though I've spent the last 20 minutes saying how terrible it is and the characters are awful and there's no good writing and it's the worst thing I've ever read and I've reread it twice and I still hate it and then nothing compares to it on the level of how awful it is. But, you know, if you like it, it's cool.
By the way, look at his first pinned comment on that video. It's like,
Oh.
please do not bully me. And then you just open up, it's just like, no.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. The whole video has essentially been bullying JoJo's and saying how terrible it is. But then this last minute and a half has been like, but you know, I mean, if you like it, it's cool and you shouldn't hate me for not liking it. And I mean, like, whatever, bro. It's just my opinion.
I mean, to be fair, he does title it "Why I Don't Like JoJo's." Not
Right?
like,
Yeah. No. It started
he
off.
expresses why throughout the whole thing. He expresses why he doesn't like these parts. He doesn't like necessarily tell people you shouldn't like this, blah blah blah, or you shouldn't like this.
Right.
He's saying his opinion.
Right.
So
and when Cyrac and I sat down freaking 3.5 hours ago to watch this video, I said I don't think it's going to really be worth it because it's just an objective or a subjective take, caked, you know, with an argument caked with a lot of, in my opinion, and it's okay if you like it and I don't. And then he was like, you know, Cyrac was like, well, let's just watch it and see what we get. And then now that we're 20 minutes into the video and 3.5 hours later, I'm like, yeah, no, this guy's a jerk that is trying to hide his just straight up hating and pooping on this series behind. It's just my opinion, bro. It's just my opinion. When he's literally said definitive facts. Like he's gone through this whole video. He essentially has started a sentence with, in my opinion, and then the latter half or the middle half of the sentence is, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad, with objective reasoning of like, there's no development for characters, they're all flat, the story doesn't progress, it just meanders on, there's only 3 types of characters in the whole series, blah blah blah, like giving objective statements, and then at the end of the sentence he says, in my opinion. So he's just making sandwiches. He's making shit sandwiches through the whole video.
The cherry on top is where he said that One Piece made him cry. So
yeah, yes. The cherry on top is that One Piece made him cry.
One Piece made him cry, and JoJo's like his ex that he never had.
Yeah. One Piece made him cry, and JoJo's is like his ex, so he hates it. Oh, it's beautiful. You just summarized the entire. We didn't even. Oh my god! I wish that could be the whole video. That should be the whole video. We didn't need to sit here for freaking 3.5 hours.
Hey, Austin.
Yeah.
Remember last time? 4 hours?
Yeah. The 4-hour Halo video? Yeah. I remember that 4-hour Halo video. Yeah.
As I'm hearing him say, like, you know, JoJo's is like a bad ex or something like that. No, it's not a bad ex. It's an ex that you broke up with, and you probably now regret it. I don't know. That's just my opinion.
You might be right.
The regretful ex, not a bad ex. The regretful ex. There we go.
But the thing is, this video, so anybody that sat here and actually watched through this, we can just summarize it as being, you know, we should have actually made a 1.5-minute video that was like, oh, it's a shit sandwich with a cherry on top that says my ex broke up with me. By the way, One Piece made me cry, and that's the whole video. There you go. We just say we didn't need. Go on.
You have to end that sentence with basically.
Basically. Yeah.
One Piece is just the consolatory fleshlight. Basically.
Basically, because One Piece made me cry. My girlfriend broke up with me. I hate JoJo's.
All right, we got 1 minute, 1 whole minute.
All right. It's gonna be pointless.
50 seconds. What are you talking
about? Dude, it's pointless. It's freaking pointless. It's pointless, and there's no reason to watch it. But for the sake of consistency, let's finish it.
Am I ever gonna go and read part 7? I don't know. Maybe. It's possible, but it's not really a priority of mine. But I will say that every time you guys tell me to read it, I push it back by another year.
No, he's
Yeah,
he's taking the Gabe Newell. He's taking the Gabe Newell stance.
the
Because
last
Gabe
30
Newell.
seconds. The last 30 seconds is all
credits.
Patreon.
Oh yeah, it is all Patreon.
Oh, creds.
But Gabe Newell in one of his interviews, someone asked him about Half-Life 3, and he said every time someone asks me, I push it back by a month. So he was literally just basically quoting Gabe Newell, being like, "Oh, if you want me to read Part 7 and you ask me to do it, I'm pushing it back by a half a year." So I'm never getting to it. And that's what Gabe Newell essentially said about Half-Life 3, where he's like, I get so many requests to do it that it's never happening.
Basically.
Basically. Basically. Yeah, basically. Basically.
But,
dude, Cosmonaut Variety Hour, you're a handsome young man with terrible points.
And who's probably never got his willy wet. Probably.
No, come on. Come on. Don't be that guy.
Look, I don't count toys as getting it wet, all right?
Look, don't be that guy. He's a handsome young man.
That cried during One Piece.
Oh, well, yeah, that is a good point. He did. He did
an anime that makes me cry. You know what makes me cry? Anohana.
Yo!
All aboard the field train there.
Oh, I was unexpecting. I'm glad I didn't have any sweet tea in my mouth when you said that.
Anohana, Your Lie in April, and Angel Beats and Clanad.
Not so much Angel Beats, but I do agree with the other ones.
Wait, Beat Angel Escalate or Angel Beats?
Angel Beats. It
sounds like the same thing.
No, it's different. Think of an isekai, except everyone is dead already.
Yep.
Wait, what makes a thing an isekai? I thought an isekai had to do with like a really good panel of art.
What? No, what?
Isekai is where you get transported into another world, usually by Truck-kun.
Oh, like that one with the that Chinese anime that I hate, that a lot of young women like, with the Sit Boy.
Oh yeah,
Inuyasha?
Yeah, that's a terrible anime. That's like one of the worst ever.
Yeah.
Inuyasha made me cry.
Don't lie.
Okay, Cosmonaut. Okay,
but basically.
I mean, like, basically, Inuyasha is better than One Piece.
Only because it died faster.
Apparently,
dude, okay.
They're doing a continuation of Inuyasha right now.
Yes. All right. I don't give a crap about that. Before I leave, I want to first off say, Cyrac, you and I were the only ones that have watched the entire video. Did Cosmonaut make any good arguments?
No.
I disagree.
My reasoning is every time he made a point, he always backpedaled on it and made it his opinion instead of being an objective statement.
Oh, okay. Well, then, yeah, I guess we do agree. Because I was going to say he made a couple good points, but then the further it got into the video, he contradicted those points. So that was my stance. So I was going to be like, no, he made a couple good points. And even with our new guest, they got to see me agree with him and say that there are points of JoJo's that I don't like, that I think that Cosmonaut actually touched on. But then the further he went into the argumentation where I agreed with him, it was like, well, I disagree entirely on that. Like, so he even when I agreed with him, he made arguments that I disagreed with. So it's like we weren't on the same page ever in the entire video. Even when I thought he was right, he then just disproved his argument.
Yeah. It really didn't help his case when he decided to start talking trash about Part 5 and then say that he didn't understand what he was reading in the manga.
Yeah.
He read it twice. Like,
well, he read it twice.
I read it twice. I have a good translation.
Twice.
Then, like, what was that? Like 2 minutes later, I don't know what the hell's going on with this.
Yeah, I don't understand. I don't understand it at all because well, in his defense, he said the paneling was poor. So even after a second time reading through the paneling, he still didn't understand it.
He also said that he binged the entire series in 2
2
months.
months.
Yeah, that's not a way that you're supposed to read manga at all,
No.
or any series. You don't
No.
binge it in 2 months.
No, that was. I didn't say anything at the time, but yeah, I was definitely thinking, like, dude, I think you read this too quick. And like he himself said, it maybe was the problem because he got burnt out. And like, honestly, no matter what it is, like, you can't do it that quick. Even if it's a great work of art, like even if it's the Lord of the Rings books, you shouldn't read them in a month. You should be reading a few chapters a week at most.
What are you talking about? You should be finishing that stuff off in a week.
What?
Like a week. I finished it in a day.
Oh my god.
Dude, oh my
Too
god.
multi-brain, man.
For his
I'm either on or off, man. There's no in between.
for his
I'm here for content.
y'all are great. Honestly, all of y'all are great. But for as many breaks and hiatuses as Hunter x Hunter and Berserk have had, I'm honestly thankful that they have, because that way I can come back with a fresh sense of getting into it. However, as I mentioned to Austin earlier, if y'all haven't heard, Kentaro Miura passed away on the 6th.
No.
I heard about that.
I sent it. Wait, no, I sent it to the group.
You
So
did. But I heard about it before then. I've got a few anime pages I follow on Facebook that were talking about it. So.
What the hell was that?
It sounded like Austin farted in the mic.
Speaking of farting into the mic, I was playing Phasmophobia, and yeah. So pretty much, I was just in the corner, and like the pathing of the ghost, like totally fine. Just when it literally walked by me, did not see me at all. So it's like, okay, cool. But then I farted, and then it just immediately 180'd and just like beeline towards me. It's like, fuck.
That's why you don't have open mic on.
Oh, even if no. On
purely
Phasmophobia.
open mic.
So on Phasmophobia, they changed it. So even if you have open mic off, Windows itself will still record audio for the ghost itself. So even if you're not transmitting anything to your partners, the ghost is still going to hear everything you do. So be very quiet, or mute your mic entirely, which is not the way you should play it.
No, you definitely not.
I regret everything.
I have actually died in Phasmo because my mic was picking up my headset. while the other people I was playing with were like, I was stuck inside. I was the only one stuck inside. The others were all outside, looking at me through the window, being loud as hell. And I was like, "No, shut up!" And here comes the ghost. Fuck.
Isn't there a thing that you can also do with the radio, and it attracts the ghost? So if your teammates are on the radio, the ghost comes to you.
I think that was patched out. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
If you mean having your teammates yell the ghost's name over the radio while you had the ghost box on, then yeah, that was a thing. But I think they patched that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I need to get back into Phasmophobia.
I was about to say, because with the radio now, like when a hunt starts, the radio craps out. Like it's all
Okay,
static.
so that's new, because before you could still talk over the radio.
Nope.
Yeah, nope.
Sort of.
So if you have dead radio, then you know a hunt's going on.
Yep.
So
It's also a terrific way, like if you're hiding somewhere and you don't know if the hunt's still happening, you can
just hide in the room.
Well, you can hide in the room, but you can cue the radio, and if you hear that static, the hunt's still happening.
Okay. That's good to know. I need to play with y'all again on Phasmophobia, because I don't think I have, actually.
I'm like,
Thinking back.
I'm only level like 200 something in Phasmo.
I'm like level 7.
I think I'm level 12. But
Okay, so if we play together, I'm sugar daddying it. Okay.
Oh,
Yep.
hell yeah, you are.
you need to get a computer, Austin, so that way you can play.
Yep, that's 100% true. I have a mythological computer on its way.
Oh, actually, speaking of computers on its way, my computer is finally being shipped after all this fucking time. Like,
Oh, is that the thing that you showed me on PC Part Picker, Varel?
What's that now?
Was that the thing that you showed me on PC Part Picker, or that one build website.
No. So PC Part Picker is what I had started doing before the GPUs all got scalped. I actually went to CLX to build a custom PC.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it cost me like $4,500 after everything said and done. But this thing's going to be beastly, and I'm not going to have to worry about replacing it or anything really in it for a long time, unless something just happens to fry out somehow.
So if I were to pick a pre-built computer company, I'd choose Main Gear probably, just because of their custom water cool builds. They are really, really dope.
Yeah. So I mean that's fine. I mean I like CLX because a few of the sites I was looking at, like they seem to like to be the better price versus customization. Like I felt like I could do more with them for the price I was getting.
That's understandable.
I'm gonna post a link to the Discord, or I mean the Twitch. Oh right, your bot.
Really?
Hey,
I'm talking.
Cyrek, I sent you a video in Discord.
What is this?
Is it possible for you to play that as I say goodbye to everybody? Because I'm saying good night.
Okay. Yeah, look at the.
Yeah, I want to leave you all laughing.
Okay.
All right. So as you're leaving, I'm going to play this. So let me pull it up here.
Yeah, I think it's we've all played video games, right? Anybody?
No, never.
No.
Oh, really? Okay, well you're not going to get it then. It's it's when you're playing like a free roam game and you're having to do a trailing mission for an NPC. So yeah, so this is from the NPC's perspective. But okay, goodbye everybody. This is what I'm leaving you with.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, it was totally fun.
Hey, boss, you think this guy behind us is a little suspicious?
You mean the one that hit 8 stoplights, 3 cars, 2 pedestrians, and then drove on the sidewalk for 5 blocks?
Yeah, that one.
Nah, he's over 40 feet back. He's fine.
Oh, he is?
As we say in the mob, if you're over 40 feet back, you ain't suspicious.
We do say that, yeah.
This joker, on the other hand, a little too close for comfort, huh, bud?
Obeying all the traffic laws at a comfortable distance? We gotta get out of here.
All right, so I know we were just in the car for 20 minutes, and I had ample opportunity to tell you this then, but now that we are on a leisurely stroll from the car to the casino, in full earshot of everyone, I will disclose to you the secrets. So anyway, the whole operation is run by Tony Luzzi. Who's there? Must have been my imagination. The whole operation is run by Tony Luzzi. Did you hear something? I thought I just heard something. Must have been my imagination. The whole operation is run by Tony Lazzuto.
Tony Lazzuto? You're telling me Tony
What
was
was
that?
that?
I swear I saw something. Tony Lazzuto? You're telling
Did
me
you hear
was that?
something? I thought I just heard
Mine must be
something.
playing tricks on
Must
me.
have been my
I swear
imagination.
I saw someone.
Did
Tony,
you
what
hear
was
something?
that?
I thought I just heard something.
Who's out there?
Must
Did
have
you
been
see
my
something?
imagination.
Mine must
The
be playing
whole
tricks on
operation
me.
is run by Tony Lazzuto.
Tony Lazzuto? Tony.
That's it. I think that's the one.
That's great.
Oh.
God damn it.
That's honestly every escort mission, though.
Yeah, pretty much. More
Or tailing.
mission.
Yeah, tailing mission.
Escort is a whole new bag of worms.
Oh my god.
The NPC will go at a pace that sprinting or walking does not keep a good pace with.
Slow yourself, adventurer.
Oh no.
Oh, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I think it was really funny where it's like he was doing the whole distracting the shopkeep thing. It's like, what's that then? What's that nice? And he's just like creeping up on him.
There's someone prowling around here.
Must have been to win.
I honestly thought I removed Nightbot's permissions.
Yeah, no, you forget I'm here now, so Nightbot is like just target lock. So
Yep, Nightbot knows who the
It targeted Lynn's earlier too.
It did.
Oh my
For
god.
the fucking emojis.
Oh my god.
I don't know why. Like I removed it as a moderator, and I'm like, why are you still here?
Nah, you have to completely get rid of Nightbot now, man.
What's hilarious is I can see Kaz's link that he posted. Nightbot saying it's
Well,
bullshit.
I think Cyrek let it go because it was gone.
Oh no,
for a bit.
Cyrek reposted the link.
Yeah. It didn't give me the option to be like, hey, allow this. It
So
was just
I think in a way like it still allows things. Like some permissions are definitely off and it's allowing things. It's just not being shut up.
yeah. The Nightbot is removed from my stuff. I don't know why it's still here.
Maybe it's some Twitch integration that you can't really do much about. I don't know.
That's dumb. But I think I'm gonna call it here tonight.
Oh,
since
before y'all get
it's
off.
been
So anime that I'm watching right now.
Yeah.
Parasite Maxim.
Yo, that's a good one.
Have not watched it.
I'm actually enjoying it pretty well so far.
It is. They did a really good job of updating it from the time period that it was made in to present day. Because originally there was no computer, there was no smartphone, and it was all books that they were getting their information from, books and the radio. So they did a really good job adapting it.
Yeah,
And the story follows beat for beat in the manga.
I'm just rewatching Hajime no Ippo.
I just wanted to end off on hey, there's a good anime if anyone's looking.
Oh, and also the new Shaman King series. I'm watching that.
There's a new one?
Yes. They're like 8 or 9 episodes in right now.
I'm so out of the loop right now. But yeah, if you haven't watched Rising of the Shield Hero, oh wait, no, the guy that was
Austin, yeah.
Yeah, Austin.
Yeah.
Watched it.
Austin needs to watch the first episode of Rising of the Shield Hero.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I'll get him too. Technically, it's the first 2 episodes because they did an hour-long premiere.
Yeah. Which actually, for Hulu, they fixed that.
They did?
Like the first episode that happens, and now.
Okay. Because I didn't know if they'd fix that or not.
Yeah.
But
the first time I ever watched it, it wasn't. But Hulu actually has it where it's first episode, so it's all cool.
I'm going to end off on this video as we all head out.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye. Have a great time.
I want to see this video, though.
All right. I'll just pull it all into the back if y'all want to watch it.
Okie doke.